Well, there's nobody sitting up there, I guess.
Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Thank you. Mr. Mandelbaum?
Here.
Mr. Cruz?
Present.
Mr. Frazier?
Here.
Mr. Lance and Ms. Jordan are not present this evening. Excuse me, Ms. Seymour, and Ms. Jordan.
Here.
Okay, so you have 4 members present.
Thank you. Let's all stand for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a few presentations that we do, and the first one will be conducted by Member Councilman to the Parks and Recreation.
You're not supposed to be here. Can you move that just a little bit? Thank you, Madam Chair. I had a big tip-off that Ron was not going to be here, but we're very blessed to have him here this evening. And Parks and Recreation Director, of course, is here. And this is Parks and Recreation Month in the city of Southfield. And it's whereas public works and recreation systems are dedicated to enhancing the quality of life for millions of residents and communities around the world through recreation programming, leisure activities, and conservation efforts. Parks and recreation activities and leisure experiences provide opportunities for young people to live, to grow, and develop into a contributing member of the society, create lifelines and continuous life experiences for older members of the community. Also generate opportunities for people to come together and experience a sense of community and pay dividends to communities by attracting businesses and jobs and increasing housing values. Whereas the dedicated administrative staff and employees of the City of Southfield Parks and Recreation Department work hard to ensure that Southfield's parks and recreation facilities are safe, accessible places for all citizens to enjoy. And whereas July is the busiest month of the year for the Parks and Recreation industry, it is recognized by the National Recreation and Park Association of Recreation and Parks Month. Therefore, be it resolved that Mayor Donald Capacity, City Council, also of the City of Southfield, do declare this day in the state of Michigan, the City of Southfield, Oakland County, and all citizens encouraged to celebrate a healthy, active lifestyle by participating in their choices of recreation and park activities. And we're very honored to have the boss here, the chairman, Marty Roberts. And I'd like to present this to him.
Thank you very much.
And I want to say a few words. You missed us on the bus, by the way.
Yeah, I know. Thank you, Council Member, Mayor, and distinguished guests. We really are honored to have this day announced as well as recognized. For the past, at least 15 years or so, we've done this. I've been a member for 17 years, but the real point of it is Parks and Recreation Department, as well as you, City Councilman, Mayor, you don't get enough recognition for what we really do and how we help the community and how we make this a thriving community for others to come and model that. We have other communities that model that for us. So on behalf of the Parks and Rec Board, I'd like to thank you for this proclamation. Thank you for having me. Thank you for General Public.
God bless you. Yes, sure. Don't mind. No, I don't mind.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members of the audience. On behalf of the residents of the City of Southfield, Parks and Recreation Board and the Parks and Recreation Department staff, I am honored to accept this proclamation for July as Parks and Recreation Month. The City of Southfield is truly blessed with a Parks and Recreation Department with a veritable smorgasbord of programs and events for everyone between the ages of 4 and 104. The following is a sample, if you will, of upcoming programs, events, and rental opportunities for the remainder of the summer season. Park It at the Berg, featuring the family-oriented Rio 2 movie, is taking place right now as we speak from 6 to 9:30 at the historic Berg Park. Brew at the Berg will take place tomorrow from 6 to 8:30, again at the Berg Park, in conjunction with our gazebo concert. The Southfield Metro Junior Golf Open will be held Friday, July 31st, 9 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. at Beachwoods Golf Course at 9 Mile Beach. The next family pool party is scheduled for Thursday, August 6th, from 5:30 to 9 o'clock here at the Civic Center Pool. The next installment of the Eat to the Beat concert series is Thursday, August 13th, 12 to 2 at the Arbor Lot parking lot. The final gazebo concert at the Berg is scheduled from 7 to 8:30, Tuesday evening, August 18th. One of our most popular events, Senior Appreciation Night, scheduled from 5:30 to 8 p.m. Wednesday, August 26th, also at the Berg. Pond Fishing is a joint project with the Farmington Hills Parks and Recreation Department, the Farmington and Farmington Hills Optimist Clubs, as well as the Southfield Optimist Club. It takes place this Saturday, July 25th, at Carpenter Lake. There are 3 sessions between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m., and these are all free events. Are you in the process of making wedding plans? Consider the beautiful Berg and surrounding grounds. Do you want to work out in a stress-free environment? Consider joining the Beachwoods Fitness Center for as little as $144 a year. Considering having a family reunion, our well-maintained picnic shelters go very quickly at Pebble Creek Beachwoods and at Civic Center at this site. For additional information, please contact our main desk at 248-796-4620. Check us out on the city website, www.cityofsouthfield.com, or you can find us on Facebook. Thank you again, Mayor and Council. Have a happy and safe remainder of the summer. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. Doug, we all enjoy the pool and all the activities that you provide, the great products and services. Madam President, do you want to come in?
Sure, absolutely.
It's like reading a book up here. There's so many, huh? You going to take this one?
Sure, I'm going to ask the individuals from the Western Technological Institute if they come forward. They're here. They're not here, but I had an opportunity to visit them while they were celebrating the 25th anniversary, and they've been in the city of Southfield for over 25 years. I'll briefly share what the resolution states. It says, whereas Northwestern Technological Institute, formerly known as All-State Vocational Training, was founded in 1979 to provide the community with the opportunity to obtain skills in the areas of residential construction, home improvement, and construction and cost estimating. And in 1992, they narrowed their curriculum to specialize in training students in heating and cooling, which allowed them to focus on one program and to ensure the students an opportunity to utilize the latest technology within that field. And they've been in the city of Southfield, and they're accredited with the Accrediting Commission for schools and colleges, as well as an accrediting agency recognized by the United States of Education. And so we're giving this resolution tonight to, again, affirm their commitment to the city of Southfield, our residents, and to provide training necessary for those individuals that may not attend college. So we'll give this resolution to them and make sure they receive it.
Do we have anything for the Central Michigan University?
No.
That together with all of them?
That's separate. So I've asked individuals from with the University of Phoenix, Mrs. Janice Skywell, to come forward and talk about the programs that they offer here in the city of Southfield. So she will come forward.
Thank you. So, thank you to Madam President, Mayor, council members, citizens of Southfield, for allowing me to come and reintroduce the University of Phoenix to the city of Southfield. So, many people don't know the University of Phoenix mission, but I figured I'd start off with sharing what that is. The mission of the University of Phoenix is to provide access to higher education opportunities that enable students to develop knowledge and skills necessary to achieve their professional goals, improve the performance of their organizations, and provide leadership and service to their communities. Now, what we found is that providing access, we've seen that we change the lives of students, their families, and future generations through higher education. So, just a little history, don't know how much time I have. Just a few minutes. The University of Phoenix was founded in 1976. Many people think it's a really young organization, but in truth, it's over 40 years old. And it was founded because there was a need to serve the adult learner. So what was found is that in traditional education, the scheduling of classes, the coursework, and the way the design of the curriculum, it did not accommodate the adult learner. So Dr. John Sperling, who was a professor as well as an economist, and he made a commitment that he would provide the working adult student with a different learning experience. So I can keep it really short. Most people think that the University of Phoenix is an online education institution, but a lot of people don't know is that the University of Phoenix has been here in Southfield for 19, going on 20 years. Started out at the American Center, moved to the Campbell Ewald building, the DTE building on Northwestern Highway, the Thornapple Valley building, and our most recent location we moved into in 2001, right across the street from the Civic Center, and we've been there for the last 15 years. At the University of Phoenix we offer, it's a business school, basically. Most people don't know that. Our curriculum is designed for the adult learner, and it's called andragogy. What it means is that the adult learner, along with learning education content, brings to the education experience their experiences. And so learning is facilitated between learners and the instructor, going back and forth. Often, we encourage our students to take some of the projects or ideas or challenges they may have in their workplace and use it as a homework assignment. And we encourage the students that if you bring your boss an idea that has some research behind it, you're more inclined to be heard as opposed to just saying, I don't like the way things are being run. Come with some research. Our programs, we offer a Bachelor of Science and Business degrees, Master's degrees, Doctorate degrees, as well as, and these programs are 5 weeks long, accelerated. And that's an oxymoron, often, because accelerated often, to many people, sounds easy, when the reality is that accelerated is absolutely the opposite. The programs are extremely rigorous and challenging for our students. So, we are very excited to be here in the Southfield community and to continue our legacy in the Southfield community for the University of Phoenix. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You're welcome. All right, the next person I'd like to come forward is Central Michigan University representative. Next review.
Good afternoon. President, council members, and mayor. I'd also like to introduce my counterpart, Lenora Hendricks. Phoenix came and just took my thunder. But adult education is similar, whether it's delivered by University of Phoenix or it's delivered by Central Michigan University. We have been around, as most of you know, in Mount Pleasant since 1892. We have been in the Southfield area. We initially offered our first classes in 1986. And since 1992, we have been located across the street at the Traverse Tower. We boast of many of the alumni that come from Central, one being our Congresswoman and former Mayor, Brenda Lawrence. And I'm sure that many of you out here, so if you want to clap if you're an alumnus, that's fine. And what we've seen is a change in the education landscape. In 1986 and in 1992 and even 5 years ago, we served in our Southfield Center around 8,000 students per year, and that was in a face-to-face format. Now we still serve 8,000 students, 4,000 of them in a face-to-face format, 4,000 of them take online classes. The unique piece about our online students is that they are supported by the Southfield location. So they can do online classes and yet get personal, face-to-face interactions with advisors, with Lenore, who actually runs the center. Our programs run the gamut. They come from our main campus. We offer undergrad, which would be bachelor's. We offer grad, master's, as well as the doctorate level here in the Metro Detroit area. And not only are we in Southfield, we are in Metro Detroit. So our location in Southfield, which because, and I am a Southfield resident, we are the center of it all, tends to attract the greatest number of students surrounding the Metro Detroit area. But we also have locations in Warren, Livonia, not Livonia, Warren and Dearborn, and help me out anytime you get ready, Lenore. Auburn Hill, Troy, Warren, and Clinton Township. So our mission is to deliver quality educational opportunities to the traditional age students who we find on our main campus, who we may find in our Southfield Center during the summers when they come home and they want to continue on, as well as the adult student. We're very proud of our history with the military. We have over 150 generals, very high-level placed military officers who are proud graduates of Central Michigan University. In fact, the newest Major General for TACOM in Warren, Major General Brigham, is a CMU alumnus. So we take pride in what we do. We are very happy to serve the Southfield community. We brought you some information, so Lenore, you share that. We have information for you too, so we didn't leave you out. If you want to know what we do, where we do it, how we do it, we brought the information for you, and we appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today. Thank you.
This is education night. When you think about the University of Phoenix being here, Central Michigan University being here, Oakland Community College, as well as Northern Technological University, we've got a lot of education in our city, and we need to make the residents aware of that. And then we'll turn it over to
Thank you, Madam Chair. Marty? This should be Mr. Bulger. After 29 years in public education on the Southfield Regional Academic Campus, Principal Marty Bulger retired from his position, much to our loss, in June of 2015. The Southfield Regional Academic Campus is a public high school in Southfield with more than 370 students, with a student-to-teacher ratio of 10-to-1. Prior to becoming principal of Southfield Regional Academy campus, Mr. Bulger also served as an assistant principal and math teacher, as well as a football, softball, and wrestling coach. Principal Bulger was honored with the Michigan Alternative Education Organization Outstanding Administrator of the Year Award in 2011 and again in 2015. Not only did his teaching and administrative team support his nomination as Outstanding Administrator, his nomination packet also included an entire book of student letters describing Mr. Bulger's positive impact on their lives. Principal Bulger is described as redefining the idea of what is expected of an alternative high school program. By his nominator, Jason Cottrell, he used it as an example that the Southfield Regional Academic Campus offers advanced placement classes in a time where many may feel that an intensive AP curriculum is best reserved for the comprehensive high schools. Mr. Bulger challenges the stigma and also the alternative students and are damaged without the capacity for the rigor of an AP curriculum. For Mr. Bulger, the issue is one of social justice and access for all students to an elite curriculum. Principal Bulger's results at SRAC are very impressive. During his tenure, he raised standardized red test scores through the building level, raised graduation rates, incorporated gender-based classes to improve student success, and scheduled all core classes with an accompanying support class in order to raise student achievement. And whereas the love that Mr. Bulger feels for his job and the students and staff at SRAC is evident in everything he did. A former student, Sharina Cochran, wrote her experience there. Principal Bulger cared about each and every student that walked through the doors. And whether they appreciated it or not, Mr. Bulger treated my brother as if we were his own. His student and staff expectations were summed up with goals, grades, and graduation. His first words he stated to his staff in his new position as principal of the Southfield Regional Academic Campus in 2007, this simple and concise statement became the driving force of his school that year, and it has remained the vision 8 years later. Now there be resolved that this city, the mayor, the council, and all the residents of this community, and school officials and teachers recognize the job that this young man did. I mean, it's been an unbelievable trip that he's been on. There are many young men and women that are a success today because of him. And, Marty, if you love knowing your name, congratulations. I miss you. Just keep it short because the boss is sitting with us.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. President, Council, Community, 1994, Mr. Horn hired me at Thompson Middle School. His name is on the agenda as well. Behind me is my family. We stand up. Not everybody is here, but...
Come on, stand up. Let's go.
And then in here, when I was coaching baseball, we used to come to the restaurant, which was right over here on Northwestern Highway, right there at 10 Mile, that you had. And we would leave the baseball game. Sometimes we would win, sometimes we would lose, but we'd come there. We made Southfield our community, and it still is so. I don't want to get all overly emotional, but I do want to tell you that what we do is about creating significance in the lives of the people that we touch. And if we can make that our business, then we will have done all that we can do to make life better for everybody as we touch each life one day at a time. Thank you for this honor. I'm forever grateful. Thank you.
Between Marty and the next young man that comes forward, I'll tell you, they will so surely be missed in this community for all the things that they have done. And when you look at these young people who have been raised in the city and were tutored by these two, it's just a marvelous thing that we've been able to see. And I hope that we find individuals that possibly make them closer to replacing them. But Mike, come on up, Mike. And after 35 years of public education, Southfield High School Principal Michael Horn retired from his post in June of 2015. Mr. Horn began his career as an English teacher with Highland Park Public Schools. He transferred to the Southfield Public School District as the principal of Thompson Elementary School for 13 years, followed by 7 years as principal of Rezoning and then principal of Southfield High School for the past 9 years. Principal Horn is a graduate of Abatement A&M, where he played football. He's a married father of 2 grown children, and he's known for establishing a solid environment for student learning and advancement. Principal Horn initiated single-gender classes for 9th and 10th graders, as well as common assessments for courses at Southfield High. He created the Principals Council, which brought together the leaders of each team and organization in the school for regular monthly meetings. He also started monthly group day meetings for the whole school in the auditorium that were well received. And throughout his distinguished career, Principal Horn has earned a reputation as an innovative educator and administrator that would be sorely missed by the students, staff, Southfield Public District, and I might mention all of us as well. And be it resolved that I, the mayor and the city council and the city of Southfield, and all the individuals of this city that have touched you and taught by you and educated by you, and even grabbed a little bit, straighten them out. Yes, and but you know what? I tell you, you will surely be missed because you made a big impression on the school and everything that you touched, and we're sorely missed.
Good evening, Mayor, Madam President, council members, and other members, community members, City of Southfield. I am humbled by this honor, but honored to have served for 29 years in this stupendous community. I serve children and I serve parents. I would be remiss if I did not mention Dr. Carl Hansel, who took a chance on a young man 29 years ago and made him the first black male administrator hired in Southfield Public Schools. I'll tell a quick story with Mayor Picasso and his commitment to education. As principal of Rezoning, we challenged our students to read 3,000 books. We said to the students, if you read 3,000 books, I would conduct my office on top of the building at Rezoning. I'm afraid of heights. Mayor Picasso found out about this challenge, and he too said that he would conduct his office business on top of Rezoning. Our students did meet that challenge. Mayor Picasso rose up with a fire truck right up Rezoning, and we both of us get in a bucket. Well, I'm afraid of heights, so I'm holding on real tight. Mayor Picasso lived up to his word. He did conduct business his entire day. He was on one end of the building, I was on the other. Our students saw that. They saw that the mayor of Southfield thought education was important enough to stop what he was doing here and to come out and come onto the building. And so the mayor be a bit disingenuous if I didn't pay homage to this lovely lady standing next to me.
Amen.
For 34 years, honey, you have supported me and you have endured me. So for tonight, I say thank you. I say thank you, Mayor. I say thank you to Dr. Hassel, and I thank this community. This is an absolutely incredulous place to work. Thank you for the opportunity to serve the students and the parents of Southfield, the all-American city.
All right.
Mr. Mayor, could I have a moment before you guys step away? I can't let these two gentlemen get past me without just giving another pat on the back. Kudos to you guys. I've had the opportunity to work with them for the last 5 years directly in a program I run at OCC called Man Up, a male mentoring program that we've done in partnership with Southfield Schools. And these two principals right here have been right there at the forefront of that project, and we have had over 100 students over the last 5 years or so that have gone through the program. It's been very beneficial. And I can tell you, I've walked their facilities, walked the halls of their schools, and much respect in there. Nobody is going to step out of line, because they don't want Mr. Horn or Mr. Bulger coming after them, but in a good way, because it's all in love. They know, the students know that they love them, but they know that they have to be accountable in those schools. I'm sad to see them go, particularly for our young males in the schools, African American males in particular. And I'm sad that my son, who's got one more year before he comes to high school, is going to miss these guys. But you have left a tremendous legacy in the city of Southfield and with the schools system, and I just commend you for all your efforts and hope that we'll see you in other venues as well as days go by.
We've got one more person. I think Mr. Cruz echoed all of our comments from the council with both of these fine individuals that have retired from Southfield Public Schools. The last individual that will be speaking this evening is Shannara Whitehead, and I'm going to ask her to come forward this time. She's a young lady that is doing things here in the city of Southfield, and she's developed a magazine, and it's geared toward our teens and our community. So I wanted you to talk a little bit about the magazine and how people can get hold of it and can do it.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, Mayor, President, Council, and the city of Southfield. My name is Sharon Whitehead, and I'm the editor-in-chief of Teen Era magazine. Our mission is to build a better youth, and my goal is to put that on a t-shirt and get this everywhere, to build a better youth. My passion is for the youth, because a lot of our youth are in trouble. A lot of our youth are not doing anything. Some of them may go to school, may go to high school and college, but they stop there. So I want to be an example of someone that's a young person that is stepping out and actually living their dream. I went to college, and I'm at the University of Phoenix, so I have a background in communications. I graduated from Spec Howard in TV and radio broadcasting, so we're doing a lot of things, and this magazine is based out of the city of Southfield. So I'm so excited about the youth, because there's so many opportunities out there. A lot of them, they just don't know what direction to go. So if I can kill that mindset of the young people, I'm willing to do it. I want to be a living, walking, talking testimony of how young people can come up on the top and be more than what society has put in front of them. They don't have to turn to violence. They don't have to turn to drugs and all other kind of stuff that's not good for them. So I want this magazine to change their lives, and to also just be a seed that's planted in them, to let them know that, I can make something of myself. I can step out the four walls of what society has put me in. So that's what I decided to do. And we have our TV show coming out, so I'm just really pushing Teen Era magazine, especially in the city of Southfield. And since I'm a Southfield resident, you can go to my website at teeneramagazine.com and order this magazine. Also, you can find us on Facebook and Teen Era Magazine. And thank you so much for having me. Oh, yes.
Council, you have two appointments to make, both of them for the Downtown Development Authority. Colbert cannot be here this evening, but I would like to have that reappointment made at this time. Stephen? Council? I don't have the
motion.
fact sheet here. Would you kind of read it, Mr. Frazier, for me?
We need a motion to appoint to the Downtown Development Authority, Mr. David Farman.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Frazier.
I move that we appoint Mr. David Farman of 18,000 West 9 Mile Road to the Downtown Development Authority, and his term will be through July 20th, 2019.
Support. We have a motion by Mr. Frazier, supported by Mr. Manabon, to appoint Mr. David Farman to the Downtown Development Authority. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The next one is the reappointment to the Downtown Development Authority of Mr. James Ralph.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Frazier.
I move that we approve the reappointment of James K. Ralph Jr. of 17515 West 9 Mile, which is his business address, to the Downtown Development Authority to a term that expires 4/28/2019. Support.
We have a motion by Mr. Frazier, supported by Mr. Cruz. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Madam Clerk?
We got one other one.
Did you want to have?
Yes,
Colbert?
Colbert is not here this evening, it's a reappointment. Yes, I'd like to have her reappointed, please.
Okay, Madam President, I move that we approve the reappointment of Dr. Davida J. Colbert, Oak Park Schools Superintendent, to a term on the Downtown Development Authority that will expire July 18, 2019.
Support. We have a motion by Mr. Frazier, supported by Mr. Mandelbaum, to approve Dr. Davida Colbert to the reappointment to the Downtown Development Authority. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
If I could have the three of you raise your right hand, please. Two, excuse me, I'm sorry. All right. Do you hereby swear or affirm that you will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of this state, and the Southfield City Charter, and that you will faithfully perform the duties on the Southfield Downtown Development Authority and for the city of Southfield, county of Oakland, state of Michigan, according to the best of your ability? Congratulations. Congratulate.
Would you want?
Would you like to go congratulate your family?
Yeah, go for run the gamut there. Follow Ralph, whatever. Those who are watching, the Downtown Development District is so vital today and important. This, of course, is in the area of the Northland Shopping Center, and it is very important that we have people who are serving on that board who have experience in redevelopment, development, resale, and they can give input to the city of Southfield as to how we can proceed in the future. If they make chore for them, I think their experiences that they're leading through this commission are very valuable. And Al Davis is the director of the Downtown Development Group. And Al, I think you got some good boys here. Again, we got to sign in, and then we're done.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Okay. Madam Chair, that's it, and like I said, we've got two fine new commissioners on the hand to deal with the challenges that we have in the future.
All right, thank you. Glad to have you guys serving. We'll move to the regular minutes, and we're going to ask at the request of the clerk that we will remove the minutes for the meeting of March 23rd, 2015. So we'll only be voting on the
Madam President,
Mr. Frazier.
I move that we approve the minutes of the special meeting of May 11th, 2015, and the regular meeting of May 11th, 2015.
Support.
We have a motion by Mr. Frazier, supported by Mr. Mandelbaum, to approve the minutes as stated. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I do have a question on the minutes that were pulled.
Yes.
There was one of the items that we acted on back in March of 23rd had to do with the piece of property across the street from us, and there was a 90-day window that we were going to use for an RFQ, with the final part of the purchase and the RFQ, and I'd like to know where do we stand with that.
The purchasing department delivered to my office this afternoon a draft copy of that RFP that will be hitting the street. We'll be reviewing it one more time and anticipating that it will be it'll go to the media this week. It should be posted within the week.
So things are happening.
These are happening.
Good.
Very strong interest in the property.
It's an important piece of property in this city, and we need to make sure that we stay on guard and on track with it.
Okay, ready, Mr. Frazier?
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move to the consent agenda and council request of the administration and our city attorney. We are removing the consent agenda item G, so we will not be voting on that this evening. Are there any other items, council, that you would like to have pulled from the consent agenda? We'll move forward to the consent agenda. A is the approval to purchase online cataloging services, online database services, and interlibrarian loan delivery service through the Midwest Collaborative for the library, formerly the Michigan Library Consortium, in the amount of the online database being $699 annually, and the RIDS delivery service $3,500 annually, and then the annual amount for both of these is $9,599. Consent agenda item B is approval to purchase audio-visual materials for the Southfield Public Library from Midwestern Tape in the amount of $93,000 annually, and the city will not exceed that amount. Consent agenda item C is the approval to upgrade to the library's internal technological network infrastructure from CDW government, and that is in the amount of $226,668.40. Consent agenda item D is the approval to purchase fire hydrants, casting and valves for the Public Works Department in the amount of $240,000. Consent agenda item E is to approve the City of Southfield's participation in the Oakland County One Stop Ready program. And that's what the council has said. Consent agenda item F is to provide for consulting and administrative services to the building department, professional fees, and consulting and administrative fees in the amount of $17,500 per month, and that is through the wage trend consulting. Consent agenda H is a resolution calling for the public hearing to approve the district boundaries amendment and the approval of the amended, restated, and extended development plan and tax increment financing plan for the city of Southfield and Troy and the joint local development finance authority. Consent agenda item I, very significant for the city of Southfield's police department, to to accept the United States Department of Justice Grant 2015 Edward Burns Justice Grant to accept the grant in the amount of $24,775.
Madam President,
Mr. Frazier.
I move that we approve consent agenda items A, B, C, D, E, F, H, and I. Support.
We have a motion by Mr. Frazier, supported by Mr. Cruz. Any questions?
Yes, Madam President.
Mr. Manley.
For consent agenda item D, for the purchase of fire hydrants, is there a schedule that we have for replacement, or is just a general purchase when they need to be replaced based on failure?
There may be a schedule, I'm not aware of it, to give that information to you, replace so many a year. I can have the department prepare a quick communication council on if it's a rotation or as, when we're in working certain areas. But if I can follow up with that information back there.
Okay. And also on item F, is there a set length of time that we're having a contract, or is it as needed basis?
We would like to move this as soon as possible. I'm hoping that will be done in the next 3 to 4 months with a number of items from implementation of various ordinances, as well as some additional meetings. But I don't see this going any longer than 6 months.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Frazier, supported by Mr. Cruz, to approve the consent agenda items as noted. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, we will move to the public hearing. The first item, public hearing A, is the establishment of a commercial rehabilitation district as it is with Kiwi Hospitality.
Madam Chair, Honorable Board, I'd like to introduce Patrick Tully with Warner Norcross and Judd. He's going to provide a presentation today on behalf of Kiwi Hospitality. The Kiwi Hospitality has purchased the former Holiday Inn property, and tonight we're asking for some assistance to help with the redevelopment of this project. At the conclusion of the presentation, we will be asking for City Council to conduct 3 public hearings. One for the establishment of the Commercial Rehabilitation District at the location. The second public hearing would be to place their request into the district if it's established. And the third would be for Brownfield redevelopment at that location. So I'm just going to pull up the presentation really quickly.
Mr. Mayor, Madam President, council members, again, my name is Patrick Tully. I'm here on behalf of Kiwi Hospitality Detroit LLC. Kiwi Hospitality Detroit LLC is fully owned and operated by VR Group, so I'm going to refer to them interchangeably. Tonight I'm also here signed with Rakesh Sharman, who is the managing director and owner of VR Group. He's traveled from New Zealand to be here tonight in front of all of you. So any questions that you may have at the end of my presentation, of course, feel free to ask either him or I. So again, tonight we're here seeking the establishment of a commercial rehabilitation district and Brownfield improvement financing for the redevelopment of the hotel located at 26555 Telegraph, the large hotel tower. Just to give you a brief background on VR Group, they initially began, these members began as residential rehabilitation entrepreneurs in New Zealand. From there, they extended over to commercial rehabilitation, and in 2004, they purchased their first hotel. Since then, as you can see on this chart, just over 10 years, they've gone from 1 hotel to 28 hotels, all managed successfully, all managed well, all managed directly by VR Group. They truly care about their hotels, their customers, and the communities they're part of, and that's represented by the success they've had in just such a short time. As you can see, the distribution of hotels throughout the world, as they did begin in New Zealand, 57% of the hotels are still in New Zealand. But as you can see, 36% of the hotels are currently in the United States, and they're hoping to grow that figure. Currently, they have hotels located in Denver and Chicago. They're also working on redevelopment of hotels in Houston, Cincinnati, and of course here in Michigan. Much of the success that VR Group's had has been focused because of these, and because of these 5 formulas has really taken off. That is high occupancy, high level of service deliverance, customer delight versus customer satisfaction, continual focus on long-term business plans, and sustainable operations. This council heard last week from one of the members, JC of VR Group, and he noted that VR Group truly cares about not only the communities, as he's purchased property here to live here and to have his son run the hotel, but also about the customers, the guests, and really moving forward with their own plans and not giving the helm to someone else. As you can see, this is just some examples of various hotels that VR Group has been involved with. This one is the VR Queen Street Hotel and Suites in Auckland, New Zealand. Before and after shot. Same hotel before and after shot. Here's one in the United States in Denver, Colorado. Again, before and after. And before and after. Here's the hotel located at the Auckland Airport in New Zealand. And their success is not only measured by what I'm telling you, but also by reputable groups such as TripAdvisor and other major tourist groups that have recognized VR Group's success in the industry and their true passion for customer service. Again, these are customer reports. As you can see, the vast majority of people that stay at their hotels report an excellent or very good time. Now focusing on the project itself, the property is comprised of 7.32 acres. It hosts the 16-story tower, the 5-story building, and the 2-story building. I should note that this is an iconic building. You can see it from 696. It's on Telegraph, and for the past 9 years it's been sitting vacant. This is how the present-day hotel looks. Again, the following slides is showing the council some renderings of the proposed development. Again, as of right now, if you were to take a walk through there, it's filled with rubbish, completely vacant, completely empty, and really there's no economic purpose for the community until now with the group's proposed redevelopment. Now just to focus on the details of the project itself. The way VR Group plans on setting up the hotel is to offer 3 different hotels under 3 different flags. The first is a high-end hotel. They're in talks with Best Western Premier. This is going to be the flag under which the tower will be flying under. And Best Western Premier, again, it's a high-end hotel with great ratings throughout the world. And it's also a fairly new organization, as the council heard last week, to be part of. The 5-story building will feature a moderate-scale hotel to offer customers plenty of opportunity, and when they choose their hotel that they're going to stay at in Southfield. And again, customers range from several of the headquarters businesses in Southfield, tourists coming from out of state into the Metro Detroit area. 3 hotels have 417 rooms, and the planned reservations will also offer conference space and banquet rooms. I did neglect to mention that the 2-story building will offer extended stay executive suites, and VR Group is in talks with Oakland County to do a joint tourism campaign to attract access to those suites. Again, on the bottom floor, there's a restaurant with 4,000 square feet completely renovated. And a separate restaurant on the top floor, maybe you may remember, it overlooks Telegraph 696, really all of Southfield. And BR plans to completely redo that top floor and offer members of the public lounge space overlooking the city. Just about the property and the project, BR Group itself has put $12 million, plans to put $12 million of private investment into this project. They plan to begin demolition late summer 2015 this year. It will be completed in 3 phases again, the 16-story tower, the 5-story hotel, and 2-story executive suites. This project, as you're well aware, will change the lodging landscape of the city and will create over 70 jobs. Now, the incentives that we're actually requesting, Public Act 210, the way it works is it will freeze the taxable value of the property for 10 years. So, VR Group and Kiwi Hospitality Detroit LLC will continue paying taxes. The school taxes will not be impacted in any way. And over that period of 10 years, they will still continue paying the taxes that they're currently paying, which is around $100,000 a year. At the expiration of that 10 years is when the tax increment financing will kick in to cover the remaining eligible expenses. Again, those are the phase 1, demolition, and the second preparation. With that said, the city of Southfield will also significantly benefit from this project with the VRA administrative costs of $15,000 and the local site remediation revolving fund, which will provide the city at the end of the capture $779,529 that can be used by the city for any eligible activities of that it chooses. That's a quick recap. I welcome any further questions from the council.
All right, Shelley, if you have anything else to add?
No, I don't have anything else to add. So we would like, again, we have the 3 public hearings. The first one to establish the commercial rehabilitation district.
All right, this is a public hearing on the establishment of the commercial rehabilitation district, PA 210, for the Kiwi Hospitality in Detroit. You have 3 minutes to address the council, giving us your name and address.
Pamela Gerald, P.O. Box 155, Southfield, Michigan, 48037-0155. My telephone number is 248-346-0439. When I first came to this area in 1983, that Holiday Inn was like a major attraction just driving down Telegraph because of all the lights, and it made me feel that I was maybe in New York, just in that little block right there, because I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. So when this place closed down, it was really sad because that strip of Telegraph from where 696 starts to Swanson Road just, in my opinion, seemed to have gotten dark. So I am in total support, and namaste to you, of this particular project. I think for someone to come along and take a building that is destitute and think about putting $12 million or more to make it fit the Southfield standard, to be a major attraction along Telegraph, which is a major thoroughfare in Oakland County, and it goes a long way straight through. I think it's really exciting. I really don't know what else to say other than I just hope that once this hotel is opened up, that you pay attention to a lot of little details, that you come to Southfield and be a corporate community player and support a lot of the wonderful events that go on in this community. Kids and seniors, make sure you have the internet and Wi-Fi, and consider 800 bread pound cheese. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else would like to speak?
I'd like to know the first question.
As it relates to establishing that commercial, Marty, I hear what you said, I'm speaking on the matter as it relates to the commercial rehabilitation.
Yes, I would disagree with the trend we are taking in this nation, of moving towards the grander commercialization. of areas where we should be going in the other direction, in my estimation. And when the gentleman made part of the proposal, he mentioned that his corporation used to be into residential rehabilitation and moved to hospitality, so-called rehabilitation. The hospitality industry is a trap for us all, but under the constraints of what the municipal corporation works with the regulations from the federal government and how we allocate resources, etc., projects like these are pre-approved, where we could try to spend money in a direction that would greater help the local populace and stay in the future here, there would be resistance. Because the people in control of our lives today, and they run the federal government, they are not good people. I'm not talking about everybody within the federal government. I'm talking about the people who control it. They are weakening us from within. They're breaking up community. And the hospitality industry, do we need another hotel when there's so many people having so many difficulties? What is this big hotel, this extravagant hotel, use in the future when we have economic collapse, etc.? It looks to me more like something that could be modified into a grand holding cell or a prison rather than anything useful for the local population. And perhaps that's the intent of the people who control this government today. If we're going to do some rehabilitation, which we don't have control of the purse strings, however, we must rubber stamp the parameters upon which we are forced to work within. So I only can urge people to start thinking for themselves. Where are we headed as a nation? And do we really want to continue to be mercenary pawns, mercenary slaves for those who control us? Shouldn't there be some resistance to the trends this nation is traveling on? Should we not be turning around and going into a different direction than where our master overlords are leading us by the nose? Because we are willing, under the restraints of the economy that we are with, I have 15 seconds, under the restraints of the economy we are within, many of us feel compelled to do as the overlords direct us without any resistance. That is not going to work long term, I declare, and ask your consideration.
All right, anyone else in the audience that would like to speak as it relates to the establishment of the community business? Seeing none, we'll declare the public hearing. Sure, come on.
It's okay to come up now?
It's okay to come up, and we're talking on the establishment of the commercial rehabilitation district for the Kiwi Hospitality. That's what the public hearing is on. Anyone else in the audience wanting to speak on this matter? We'll declare the public hearing closed. Council. We need a motion to establish the commercial district.
Madam President,
Mr. Frazier.
I move that we approve the establishment of the Commercial Rehabilitation District, CA 210, as amended for the Kiwi Hospitality Hotel in Detroit.
Support. We have a motion by Mr. Frazier, supported by Mr. Mandelbaum. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And then we'll move to the application from the Kiwi Hospitality in Detroit for the commercial exemption. We'll open the public hearing at this time. If anyone in the audience would like to speak to the application from the Kiwi Hospitality District.
Pamela Gerald, P.O. Box 155, Southfield, Michigan, 4037-0155. My telephone number is 248-346-0439. Also, I'm in support of the application process. I just want to make sure, because the city has a tendency to make a lot of mistakes, that you've dotted all your I's, you crossed all your T's, and you made it very clear that as long as the conditions are met, that they get these exemptions. And if anything changes from the conditions, if they are no longer met, then the city is supposed to take it back and do
and go further to try to resolve that issue. I know we did let one company get by Aerosmith with a tax abatement, and they closed up, and the city never recovered that money. So just make sure that everything that needs to be in that application is in there, and as long as they play by the terms and agreements in the application, I'm in support of this project. And again,
Can you give us your name and address for the record?
Geraldine Amato. I say that a wealthy corporation like this, international, global corporation, I think can finance its own way. I don't think it needs an exemption from this municipal corporation. However, this is the way we're set up to do business, unfortunately. So as more of our people are being squeezed out of this economy, these global corporations are getting the bennies where those resources should be allocated elsewhere if we had control of the purse strings, which we don't. All of you are hired to rubber stamp the preconceived agenda, but people do not make these agendas. This is not a people-up government, this is an overlord-down government. And that's what we need to begin resisting and rebelling against rather than just going along with programs by argument. Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience would like to speak to this application from the Kiwi Hospitality Detroit for commercial rehabilitation exemption? Seeing none, we'll declare the public hearing.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, we'll entertain a motion.
Madam President, I move that we approve the application from Kiwi Hospitality Detroit LLC for the commercial rehabilitation exemption certification.
We have a motion by Mr. Mandelbaum, supported by Mr. Cruz. Mr. Frazier.
For the viewing public, this may be what we're doing may be a little complicated and hard to understand because we're moving through it. We've had the opportunity to listen to it once before, so I'd like one of the principals of the hotel or Shelley to come up and explain what this means, what we're voting on, so that people that are watching tonight can understand why we're doing what we're doing.
Absolutely. So, Kiwi Detroit Hospitality Group purchased this property. It was deemed to be functionally obsolete by a level 4 assessor, and that entitles this company to seek assistance from the city of Southfield for Brownfield redevelopment assistance. So we've identified different areas that are eligible for them to, they will pay the taxes and we will reimburse them for items that we have deemed to be eligible for payback over a certain amount of years. And then another tool that was put in place by the state of Michigan is the PA 210, which is the Commercial Rehabilitation Act. That allows us to freeze the taxes on this property for up to 10 years. And that helps the developer, again, to make their investment, and it holds their taxes at a steady level for the 10 years. So they can, it's another tool to help them if they're reinvesting in the property. So, again, we're establishing the district. They submitted an application for the tax abatement or for us to hold the taxes steady for the 10 years. And that's what we're doing right now. If you approve that, then that would give them they would keep paying the same amount of taxes that they're paying currently for the next 10 years. And again, the city, we would still be receiving our taxes, so would the school. So we would continue to receive funds from the property owner to keep supporting our public safety and to help with the schools in that area.
Okay.
All right.
No, I think because we're supposed to be transparent, if we just skip through these things because we've already spent a number of minutes or hours listening to and asking questions before, I think it's important that the people who are watching know that we're just not throwing tax dollars out the window.
Absolutely, and we are working with Oakland County and potentially the state of Michigan to utilize their support of this request that we're doing. It goes to the county, and then we submit the request to the state of Michigan for their approval. So we're all working together to help redevelop this corridor.
Okay, thank you.
I think it's really important that this is a functionally operating property, and it's been vacant for over 9 years, and now we're given the opportunity for this particular developer to come in and to totally give us a new look, to reset it, and to put taxes back on the books, even though we're getting a small portion of an abatement. We have a motion by Mr. Mandelbaum, supported by Mr. Cruz. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Then we'll move to public hearing C, and that's the Brownfield development of the same property, the Kiwi property. So this is a public hearing.
Well, I'd like to add that we do have a Brownfield redevelopment authority, and they met in mid-June, and they did review the project in great detail, and we'll be working with the city attorney to develop a reimbursement agreement for the developer. The city of Southfield is very diligent when we work out arrangements with private developers to ensure that they're meeting their obligations as well as we're meeting our obligations. So if we find that they are not following through with their statements, then we do stop our support, and we do have a clawback agreement in all of our documents so that we do get paid back for taxes if they don't follow through with what they're stating that they will do. And we have always enforced those clawback agreements.
Thank you. This is a public hearing, and if there's anyone in the audience who would like to speak as it relates to the Brownfield redevelopment plan. Giving us your name, 3 minutes to go.
Madam President, my name is Gerard Mullen. My address is Post Office Box 155, Southfield, Michigan, 48037. Regarding the legal notice for this public hearing, I have one minor criticism to make. But before I go on, I'd like to mention parenthetically that this council has this year done an excellent job in writing legal notices for public hearings so far. That is why it was a sad day in June, last June. To be precise, June 28, 2015, when I opened my South Oakland eccentric newspaper and then turned to page 3 and read the legal notice for this public hearing. You might ask, what is the problem with this legal notice? The answer, the notice doesn't tell us the location of where the Brownfield is. Is it at Northland, or is it at Del 12, or is it at Carpenter Lake? The notice doesn't say, but with one notable exception. That is a surveyor's hieroglyphic description of the location. And if you are not in possession of the Rosetta Stone, forget it. Even Google can't help you. Paradoxically, Council's agenda for tonight contains the answer to this mysterious question of just where this Brownfield is located at. The answer, 26555 Telegraph Road. It's that simple. If Council's agenda can state the location in simple English for this Brownfield, why can't the legal notice for this public hearing state the location in simple English also, instead of hieroglyphics? Thank you, Madam President. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to say?
I have to admit, Geraldine Amato, I have to admit that much of this is incomprehensible to me. I have requested that these public hearings with a little bit more detail might be at least posted on this board outside this room. But I do want to say this, under the dynamics of the corporate state under which we work, the parameters upon which are dictated to us have nothing to do with the local populace and what they desire for this area. Now you get this promise of jobs. I still assert that these huge global corporations, and I know the people that spoke today are mercenary slaves for these corporations. It's just like you are mercenary slaves for this corporation, and everyone that has a job today is a mercenary slave. We have no real say-so, not even about our job description. In a free society, we would have something to say about how things are done and what is to be done with our resources. We don't, because we don't own anything today. So all these corporate agreements are dictated by those who own the corporations, and they're not the good people of the nation or the world. This corporation and everyone that exists in this country today is not owned by the people. They talk about going public, meaning that public shares are offered and the public owns the corporation. That's just a deception, because every single corporation is owned by the owners of the wealth of this nation, which we do not understand are the international banks or cartels. They have suckered us into the global market, and they're going to bring us down with it. And they're doing it incrementally. And we're sitting back right now, some of us, and enjoying our salaries for the current order, but it's not going to work long term. So these agreements will go ahead according to protocol, but the food controls whatever goes on in this area. But the local people have very little to do with what's happening here and how the resources of this nation are allocated. And I still say that these international corporations can finance their own way. They don't need the help of the municipal corporation, but that's not how the overlords want it. So they will get the assistance with your rubber stamping of the parameters under which, the dynamics under which we are now forced to work. We have no choice about it. If you try to resist it, you get fired from your job, you don't get reelected.
Pamela Gerald, P.O. Box 155, Southfield, Michigan 40037-0155. My telephone number is 248-346-0439. Normally, I'm not in favor of tax abatements. Over the years, we've given tax abatements to companies like Denso, Lear, and most of council, including you, Pastor Jordan, you supported those tax abatements. The last time we had Hello World here, you disagreed with their tax abatement because of their worth. Denso and Lear is worth a whole lot more money. This right here is a classic example of what a real brownfield and a real tax abatement should be about. Not because a company wants to take advantage and get their chairs, computer servers, and all of their personal property and just not pay taxes because they can. This company here is taking a building that has not been occupied for 9 years. That is a very iconic piece of property along the Telegraph corridor. The building is in shambles. Asbestos and a lot of other environmental concerns that we are concerned about. So to see like Dur and some of these other corporations, they're taking a building that's dilapidated, putting a whole lot of money in it, making it environmentally safe, environmentally friendly, and they're going to open it up and put a new business there. I think this is the kind of tax abatement that I want to be in support of. So I just want to say congratulations to the VR group. Once again, I hope you've heard everything that I said. I'm going to have my eyes on your company, and if something is not right, I won't hesitate to come and tell you where you are falling short for the residents of Southfield. So I'm in total support of the Brownfield redevelopment plan and tax increment financing and development reimbursement agreement for 26555 Telegraph Road. Thank you very much.
All right, this is a public hearing. Anyone else in the audience that would like to speak as it relates to the Brownfield redevelopment plan? and giving us your name and address.
Anita Davis, and I operate a business at 2950 Southfield Road, Suite 108, in the Woodfield Office Park Plaza. My question and concern is that it appears that the time period would be 10 years, and I would just ask, do we know that the business would stay operating beyond the 10 years? Also, the other question and concern that I have is, everything is spoken out in the abstract. What are the numbers? What is this really, what kind of a savings is this for them? What is it costing the city of Southfield? How much money are you actually giving up? And will we really see the benefit of that over the 10-year period? My concern as a resident, also within the city of Southfield, is that 10 years later, in 2025, that it's not in the same condition that we see it today, because it will take time for them to develop. I don't know if that's 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and then if they're going to be in the business for the next 5 or 6 years. After that, what is their commitment to the city of Southfield? Thank you.
Does anyone else that would like to speak at this time? Now's your opportunity to do so. We will declare the public hearing closed. Council?
Madam President, I would move that council support the Brownfield redevelopment plan, tax increment financing plan, and development reimbursement agreement for the property at 26555 Tailor Road. Support.
We have a motion by Mr. Davis, supported by Mr. Vanderbilt. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion does carry. Did you have any other comments at all? Petitioner or Mr. Chair?
Did Shelley answer that last party's question, if you remember it, regarding the benefits to the community?
Madam President, if I could just jump in before that, but the question in terms of what if they don't meet those obligations, the statute, the 210 specifically allows the city to revoke the 210 exemption if they're not meeting their obligations. So, that's there by the exact the statute that gives us the right to do this, says that we have the right to revoke it back, so.
Sure, and just to answer the party's first question regarding the status of us, the expiration of this 10-year term or even beyond the expiration of the Brownfield plan. I mean, there are uncertainties, obviously, but just by seeing how VR Group operates and how they've operated all of their companies and, again, how much they truly care about all of their companies, they have just as good a chance of surviving than any other company that's going to come in here. And again, with that said, it's for a company to take this great of an interest in such an iconic building to try to redevelop it really speaks lengths of their determination. And again, if you look across the world, they've only had success, they haven't seen failure.
Above, you can see that they are looking to make a $1 million, they're looking for a little bit over $1 million of reimbursement through eligible items that the Brownfield Authority and the City Council had negotiated as eligible redevelopment items. The reimbursement would kick in year 11 of our plan. So for the first 10 years, the property values will be frozen, and then year 11, they will be able to start receiving reimbursements towards their investment. If they should not be successful, then they simply won't receive any of this reimbursement, quite frankly. And we know that this property, we've seen other properties in the city of Southfield that the city has demolished, and the costs have far exceeded over $1 million in cost for us to make that investment to repurpose property. So the VR Group is taking a risk on this property, and so is the city of Southfield. We're partnering with them in their redevelopment efforts. We hope that they're successful. We've heard that they have a strong track record around the world, and we're willing to work with them to be their partner. Again, as the property continues to be blighted, without them coming forward and making a reinvestment in the property, we would most likely be looking at our own demolition costs, and we would not have any means to recoup that property in the short term. So,
Madam President, if I may add, we had estimated the demo cost on this building to be right around $2 million. The other factor in this, if the building were to be torn down and the site redeveloped, the tax yield per acre would not be anywhere near what you see on this. So there is no tax abatement. We've greased the assessment. We'll continue to collect $114,000 a year in taxes for the first 10 years. We'll continue to collect that. That will assist with the additional taxes being paid to close the gap in some of their demolition costs and other eligible costs. There is a little sugar in this, as I like to say on these projects for the city, and that is to begin funding a redevelopment, a demolition fund for future brownfield sites. This council recently, as part of this year's budget, approved for the first time a line item of $150,000 a year for demolition of single-family homes. The light has a very long-term impact. A lot of us on this building thought we were probably heading towards demolition of it. So to be able to save it, preserve it, and keep that tax yield is what we're really looking at. Redevelopment on this, we could do some modeling on it, but I don't think you'd see anything more than, you'd see that the taxes coming back to the city probably half of what they are today. And the cost, we don't have too much high-rise new buildings going up in southeastern Michigan. And where the work is happening is on the restoration and the renovation. And this is about a community that's 50 years old, mastering the tools of redevelopment. And one of the challenges we have for us is the PA 210 law sunsets at the end of this year. And it's something that some of us are, Freeman and I are speaking with people in Lansing about trying to keep this tool available. It was originally put in place 10 years ago with a Summit Mall up in Waterford Township, which is still sitting in an idle state. It was introduced at probably one of the worst times to introduce a piece of legislation like this in the Great Recession that we experienced in this country. So, in going through this, the last few years, we've had other people looking at this, from wanting to develop it as hotels. No one wanted to focus on the high-rise structure first. A lot of them were talking nursing homes and group homes, and when this group acquired it, it was probably the most optimistic we've seen for redeveloping this site.
And we should note that they have said that it will take until 2017 to develop the site. They plan on upgrading all the landscaping and focusing originally on the tower and the convention area, and then phase 2 is the 5-story, phase 3 is the 2-story building. So it is a phased development, and will take a few years to complete the entire project.
And when will the work begin?
As soon as possible, I believe. They're very anxious to get going.
We're hoping that it All right, thank you very much. We're glad to have you here. Thank you. We look forward to working with you, and we look forward to a great site.
John, I'll just take 5 minutes.
And give us your name and business address.
Sure. My name is Rakesh Sharma, and currently I'm staying in Denver. I live in New Zealand, but I spend a lot of time in Denver, US. I would like to just sort of say that ours is not a big corporate. I was there in the Army. I did my master's in civil engineering. I took a premature retirement in 1994 and moved to New Zealand. It's a corporation with 2 families. Me, my brother, he's a doctor. I retired from the Army, civil engineer. I can rest assured tell you that we are not the people to back off. We are here to create that difference, and we will do it. I was there, met the council before I have been involved in the last 8 properties, which I personally got involved in acquiring. As we speak, In the last 3 months, we took this property, we took one in Houston, we took one in Cincinnati. All of them pretty much closed. Previous to this, we have taken another 6 properties which we turned around when we still own them. Before coming and taking a decision, it was my 3 trips from New Zealand to Detroit, came and met the city, did the due diligence for 8 long months. And I knew it. I was so happy to see the support I got from the city. That is the only reason I got into this venture. I know it is hard, it is tough, but we are no hard soldiers. We will not let this go. And take it that we would stand behind it and make this happen. This is what I would say in the end. I would just request the mayor, sir, if you could help me out. We have been personally trying to get the electricity power connected to the building for the last 3 months. I would really request your help. That the DG Energy, you've already requested, but this is, I just want your help. If you could do that, would be really good, sir.
Shelley will talk about that.
Thank you. Sorry for asking this small thing, but everything matters, and we want to do it as soon as possible. And thank you so much for your help.
Thank you. All right, the next item on the agenda, council, we're actually going to postpone the public hearing for the smart zone sub-area place. And I'll entertain, and we're postponing it until August 24th. We need a motion for that. So I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we postpone the smart zone sub-area plan to August 24th.
Support.
We have a motion by Mr. Frazier, supported by Mr. Mandelbaum, to postpone until August 24th, 2013, smart zone sub-area plan. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item is you, Mr. Rose.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next item is ZR 1326, which is a rezoning request of John Sadden, Hana Engineering Consultants, to rezone 0.66 acres of land currently zoned OS Office Service to B1 acre business located at 24660 Southfield Road. Application was received at the end of April. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on June 24th and made a favorable recommendation. The owner was a former business located in Northland Mall and was needed to get out of there on short notice and wants to keep his business in Southfield, has found a building, the former Bank of America building on Southfield Road, and would like to open his Tailor dry cleaning business there. I do have a short video presentation, and then I would ask that the applicant come up to the podium to make some opening remarks. After the public hearing, I'd like to read a recommendation to the council.
ZR 1326 is a rezoning request of John Saad of Hana Engineering Consultants to rezone 0.66 acres of land from OS Office Service to B1 Neighborhood Business. The property is located at 24660 Southfield Road on the east side of Southfield Road between George Washington and New Hampshire Drive in Section 25 of the city. The property to the north across George Washington Drive is zoned P vehicular parking and B3 general business. The property to the west across Southfield Road and to the south across New Hampshire Drive are zoned OS Office Service. The property to the east is zoned R3 Single Family Residential. The subject property is developed with a vacant Bank of America building. Property to the north across George Washington Drive is developed with a Bolero gas station. The property to the south across New Hampshire Drive is developed with an office building. To the east is a masonry wall separating the property from homes fronting both George Washington and New Hampshire Drive. The property to the west across Southfield Road is developed with a real estate office building. The total site contains 0.66 acres of land with 264 feet of frontage on Southfield Road and a depth of 110 feet. Issues considered by the planning department during the review of the rezoning were: the Southfield Comprehensive Master Plan indicates local mixed use for this property. The size of the parcel as it relates to the proposed rezoning.
Good evening. My name is John Saad. I reside at 31786 Clay, California. Madam Chair, Honorable Mayor, Honorable City Council, my cousin and my client, Mr. Saad, has been operating since 1986 in Northland. His activity, as many of the citizens of Southfield know, he's been there as a custom tailor, professional cleaner, and he's been catering to the prom of the youth where they do graduation to design their custom. That's what he's doing with his two sons, and he's been employing 3 young adults from the neighborhood. And when the news came that he has to relocate, he tried to find a place in the proximity of his customers so he can keep on serving. He approached City Planning Commission and he suggested to find a very friendly use zone to fit the activity that he's doing, and B1 was the choice, not anything else. So taking everything in consideration for a building that's been vacated for maybe 6 years, and he's not going to change the architecture of the building. Looks nice as it is. He's going to enhance it, and having all those facts, we only receive your approval on this reason.
Very good. Well, we hand over that to the public first, and then we'll have it for the vice council. So you can see right in the front there. So this is a hearing on the rezoning request from office service to a B1 neighborhood business.
Pamela Gerald, P.O. Box 155, Southfield, Michigan, 4037-0155. My telephone number is 248-346-0439. And I wanted to correct you, sir, the building has only been vacant for about 2 years, not 4 years. No problem. I have a couple of concerns with this project. The first concern that I have is it seems as if there was a big to-do about whether or not it was going to be zoned B3 versus B1. And I think you guys opted to do the B1. And I want to know the reason why the B1 versus the B3. Is it because one is more restrictive? The second concern that I have, and I hope that it's been resolved if you guys are going to vote on it, there was a discrepancy with the property dimensions that the city had versus Oakland County. So has the dimensions discrepancy been resolved? Because if it has not, I would like to think that you guys are not going to vote on this tonight. The other concern that I had was about the building setback at 25 feet. And you guys were talking about the site plan versus the administrative site plan. So was that issue resolved about this addition that's supposed to be put on there and the setback of the addition? The other concern that I have is the barrier-free parking spaces. And it's not really a big issue, but signage is very important. But when you talk about the barrier-free requirements and the problem that they're having with the 7 feet as far as the sidewalk and the ramps that are supposed to be provided, that's where my big concern comes in at. So that's very important, handicap accessibility. So has that been resolved? And then for a tailor shop, and just correct me if I'm wrong, what is the big deal about a bike rack? Is this something that the city is demanding that this gentleman do, and it only holds 4 bike racks? I'm just not understanding the relevancy of every business that comes to Southfield or every business that's going to redevelop a building that you guys talk about a bike rack. That should be something that's a matter of choice, not a requirement. And then I saw in the paperwork that there was a previous business at somewhere in Greenfield. Is that the Northland location?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I have no concerns about that. But if you could just address the things that I mentioned, I would really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
This is a public hearing. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to hear the council as it is?
Geraldine Amato. I don't have that much information to work with. It seems like a reasonable request under the confines of the restraints that's imposed upon the local populace. But it's indicative of how we as a people must beg for our existence under the Uniform Commercial Code, which rules the nation's economy and the codes at the municipal corporation level. There is not much left for folks but to just try to survive as best they can vis-a-vis the huge global corporations that are continually moving to grab more property and more economic activity in the local area. I heard mention of the comprehensive master plan. That is another type of regulatory method of keeping restraint on the local people so that we have limitations upon how we can decide what to do with the area we live within. It's disheartening to see the trends that we as a nation are taking. When I look at Southfield, it was once a farming community able to sustain its life itself, and now it's become so dependent on outside, non-resident so-called powers to keep us alive. We no longer control our own livelihoods. They talk about, these global corporations bringing in jobs, but we no longer own any property. Everything we have is owned by those who control the wealth of this nation. And we cannot survive on our own. We don't have the resources. We must get a job or a professional contract with those who control the wealth of this nation in order to survive, or permission to exist. This is not the definition of a free society. And I ask people to consider carefully where we are and where we're headed. We're lied to about history, so oftentimes we don't understand. But I don't think it's too difficult to figure out. If we turn off the mainstream press and media and start investigating the facts of history, we will understand better where we are, where we're headed, and it's not good.
Okay, this is a public hearing. Anyone else in the audience would like to address the council as it relates to this matter? Seeing none, we'll declare the public hearing closed. Council.
Through the chair.
Mr. Lewis.
Thank you. We have a suggested resolution at DR 1326. The rezoning request of John Say, Hannah Engineering Consultants, to rezone 0.66 acres of land from OS Service to B1 neighborhood business. Property located at 24660 Southfield Road be approved for the following reasons. One, the Southfield Comprehensive Master Plan indicates local mixed use. For this property, making this proposal consistent with the master plan. Two, the proposed rezoning to B1 neighborhood business will allow for the development of property with a new land use compatible with the budding existing developments. Now, the applicant originally asked for a B3, which is a much more intensive use, and we have recommended working with him to go to the B1 because it's a less intense neighborhood business type of use and still allows for his use to be located there. Number three, the proposed rezoning will not have adverse effects upon any of the zoning or land uses. Number four, the orientation of the property is such that will allow for maximum visibility of the site. And five, the proposed rezoning to B1 neighborhood business will provide for less intensive uses than the adjacent zoning to the north of the B3 business. Now, we're only here to discuss the rezoning and not site plan issues at this time. We're still working through that, depending on whether depending on what direction they go to, will either be administrative or a full site plan. So the comments that were raised were just preliminary comments from staff review, but we're only here to discuss the rezoning tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Frazier.
Madam President, I move that we approve ZR 1326 OS to rezone from office service to B1 neighborhood business.
Support. We have a motion by Mr. Frazier, supported by Mr. Mandelbaum, to approve ZR 1323 zoning request. Any questions?
Madam Chair,
Mr. Mandelbaum first.
I guess this question is more for the planner. Well, what would determine if they come back for our site plan that's done administratively or at least by the council?
There's certain parameters. They can't exceed 10,000 square feet or 25% of the existing building for a building addition. Otherwise, that would trigger full site plan review. And they're not allowed to have any waivers. If there's any waivers required, it would require them coming site for site plan review. So if the addition is minor and they don't require any waivers, then it in theory could be done administratively. And we're still working with that with time.
Mr. Cruz.
Yes, I was just curious, Terry, if you could tell us, under B1, what other things would be eligible to be there should this business move on at some point in time, now that the food is rezoning? Just want to know what kind of potential businesses could show up.
That's a fair question, because once you're rezoned, any of the uses that are permitted. So, medical offices and clinics, banks, similar financial institutions, libraries and government office buildings, private clubs or lodges, photographic studios, and interior decorating, veterinary clinics, establishments that perform personal services, stores of a generally recognized retail nature, restaurants and carry-out restaurants when attached to or located within a shopping center complex of 4 or more units, and accessory uses. So that's what would be permitted by right. Other uses would have to go through the special land use requirements.
yes, to the city planner, Mr. Code, item 4 on the first page is the zoning request, under the planning portion. Number 4, it says there is a discrepancy on property dimensions compared to the county records. The description that property that's being zoned B1 is to get the proper description, or is the one that the county has? In other words, when you're describing the property to be rezoned, it has to be the same as the property itself. And this one is what is right?
Mr. Mayor, as you know, we were dealing with the real estate as another land. So when we first heard that comment from the planning commission about the discrepancy, we ordered a survey for this land, and yesterday I got a communication from the surveying company, core engineering, that they will have it done next week. So hopefully that won't have impact on the rezoning, because whatever we're going to rezone is that piece of property, whether the discrepancy may be a legal description, or I don't understand the description, the problem yet. I have to see the survey to see what's going on. Maybe the planning commission know about this, but I don't think it has any impact on rezoning the property. There's nothing will be left alone after the survey is done. So if you rezone that property, there won't be another property to be questionable or anything. It's just a matter of maybe dimension or maybe setting the record straight. And this is to my knowledge, but I haven't seen the survey yet. We ordered the survey.
Your survey tells you the size of the property. the description of the property that's being requested is only B1 has to be the same. Because even if it's smaller or larger than the description of what is B1, then you got a piece of B1 and a piece of OS.
My understanding is that Mr. Spence used the description based on what the Oakland County records were versus what was on their site plan that was submitted,
Well, how was it advertised?
based on the Oakland County records.
If there's a discrepancy, the Oakland County may be wrong. I really think that you have to wait for the people to do the surveying before you can rezone a piece of property and have the proper description of it. Yeah.
We do have a motion on the floor. We have a motion by Mr. Frazier, supported by Mr. Vanderbock, for the rezoning of DR 1326.
Madam President, if I could jump in, if there is a discrepancy, I mean, we have noticed this out, and you're being asked to rezone a certain legal description. If that is not the correct legal description, which apparently there's at least some confusion over tonight, I do think it's a problem, because when you vote, it'll be on a legal description that we use, which may not be accurate. So you will be rezoning something different than what the actual boundaries of the property are. And I think what happens is that if it's larger, for example, than what the survey shows, then you potentially rezone property outside of this lot. So I do think if in fact, and I don't have any documents to support this one way or the other, but if we're in agreement that there could be a problem with the legal descriptions, I do think it's problematic to do a motion tonight to approve a rezoning of what is the problem. Without having a survey to know what we've used, again, normally this issue doesn't crop up. You rely on the public records, but I don't really know how the confusion, how do we know that there was a discrepancy? But in some fashion, we now know there's a discrepancy. And without having a survey, I'm just not sure what you're rezoning at this point.
Yeah, go ahead. One question is, here's a person that wants to go into business. I believe, and I'm jumping ahead of the vote, but I believe that we're practically going to vote in favor of this. But there is a concern with, is it the size of the red box or is it the size or not? My question is, if we postpone the rezoning until we get the accurate description, will this prevent the developer from starting to work on the thing? Because we don't know if it's going to be this big or this big,
right.
But we just know we're going to, whatever it turns out to be, we'll probably approve it.
Well, the other thing you could do is potentially just, you won't be enacting tonight. You won't be enacting the ordinance. So if between now and then the survey comes in and it's different, then I think we would have to bring that to you and you would withhold you won't enact, and I think then we'd have to rescind that vote and redo it. You'd have to, because you won't have a survey that would support the description we used for the rezoning.
I understand that. I guess the question I asked very poorly was, if we postpone the rezoning, can he still go ahead and start working on the building? Because the building's not going to change. The size of the building's not going to change until he puts an addition.
Well, but the problem is, he can't use that property right now because it's zoned OS. So he can't go in there and start using the the property because it's not zoning properly.
Well, he's got to, he's got to remodel it, bank really doesn't look like clears.
Generally, we don't issue building permits though until we have site plan and zoning.
Okay, all right.
So I think,
You're,
unless you, demolition you will allow, building will allow, so there could be some demolition.
yeah, and I don't know, he's already losing business because he can't be in Northland. And I don't want to delay him from,
If I could suggest, based on what the city attorney mentioned, you could approve the rezoning, and prior to the enactment, we'll make sure that everything's proper, and if it isn't, then
Then we would come with a recommendation to rescind it and.
at least it gives the benefit of the doubt that he'll be right, and he won't lose his mind.
yeah, I understand, I usually did one. Well, it's going to be less messy, maybe it'll get more messy. But, doing something that we're sending it.
I understand now.
Madam Chair,
Mayor,
but, on the site plan, you have side yard setbacks, and they may be wrong. I think that has to be compliant with under the planning and the site plan approval. They're subject to the size of the property. So if they do a plan and they set aside, like required front yard building setback is 25 feet, which is the trigger site plan, such and such was it. But anyways, that setback is different because the size of the property is different, than the whole site plan and all the work that goes into doing that plan by the architect is all going to be null and void.
Well, obviously, a site plan is not being approved tonight, so you're absolutely right. When that survey comes
The work
in,
of the architect.
absolutely. All of that work then could change. If the survey comes in and you have to now adjust for different setbacks, that's absolutely true. So, but you'll have that before site plan approval also, if you're expecting a survey.
Through the chair, how long would it take to get the survey completed? Yeah.
Madam President, first of all, when the legal description came from the real estate office, the city said that's not the right legal, and they are right. Whatever the assessor has, it's the correct one, but we don't know. We ordered if you must have a legal description in the assessor office. Based on it, you're taxing that property, right? So the office of the real estate might have a wrong description. We ordered the survey for two reasons. First, to make sure that this problem is taken care of. Second, because the city ordinance needs a topographical survey. Now, the other issue for the setback, the presented site plan, the addition was to the north. The planning commission suggested that it would be on the east, where the 25 feet setback will no longer be a problem, and it's done. So, but we are not here for the site plan. We are going to work closely with the city planning commission, whatever the city zoning ordinance is, we're going to comply with. The main thing is, we have about 3 days till we close the deal. The deal was contingent on city rezoning the property. If this is not going to happen, I don't think the owner will buy the building. If he still has doubts, it's not going to happen.
Well, see, I have no problem with the zoning and it's confident. It looks like it's going to be approved, whatever that request is for, it would be one. But at the same time, I've had some experience with that where real estate persons sold a residential home with the wrong description and the septic tank was on the wrong side, and so here this house was sitting, and the property where the septic was not included. And people couldn't take the house. So I think it's so very important to make sure that the legal description and not put the architect through the whole procedure going through the site plan, and there's a whole list of things. I mean, it's gonna cost a lot of money to do that. I mean, I guess my question wasn't answered. How long would it take to get the survey?
If I may, through you, Madam Chair, I made the call yesterday, I got the email today from this consultant that within 4 days, he will have the survey completed. They have to do some site work within those 2 days, and then it will be completed. I will give him a call tomorrow and tell him the urgency of the situation. Maybe he doesn't know that there is a discrepancy, and maybe we can get it within 4 working days. And if you can suggest any solution to this with a conditional approval based on the right legal description.
If somebody's getting a loan, they sure want the right description, because if they were foreclosed on it, they don't own whatever the description, right or wrong would be. And I don't think there's a bank or mortgage company ever gets a loan, you don't have a proper description. I mean, it would be no different than us or the council approving a B1 zone or any zone on a site that you don't have the legal description verified.
Okay.
So I don't know how to get through it. I don't have, I mean, I think you could ask them to postpone it. When's your next meeting?
What we do, pass and rescind.
If it changes, then you could just not enact on August 24th, then you just, right, then rescind the whole thing.
And again, this was advertised based on our records, based on Oakland County's records. There was a discrepancy from what they submitted to what our records.
Right, okay, you're not using the real estate records.
No.
You're using our records.
That's what I mean.
And Oakland County records.
That's what we're
Okay,
saying.
if that's the case, we got a bigger problem than that. Because the bigger problem is every other piece of property around there is wrong.
We're taking the fact that our system, the city assessor and the county records are correct. What the realtor had used for description was the discrepancy from our records, and we asked for verification for that.
But this note here, there's a discrepancy on property dimensions compared to the Oakland County records. Now, that's the question I asked. Was it our assessment records versus the county records, or the real estate records versus the county records?
It's the real estate records versus our records, which are based on Oakland County's records. That's my understanding. The discrepancy was on the part of the applicant, realtor versus.
I think my mother's calling me.
I'm just suggesting that we're presuming that the city and the county records are correct. That's what we advertised it based upon. It was the applicant's submission of the realtor's records that there was a discrepancy with what we had sent. And that's what we were trying to make sure that aligned with what we were doing. So again, and I'll defer to the city attorney, but the approval still has that 30-day before enactment. I'm sure we can get this resolved prior to that, and if there is a discrepancy, then at least.
And I think that we are entitled to rely on the city and the county records. Those are in sync, from what I'm hearing. Those are in sync. Right, and so relying on those, that's how we notice this up, and to approve that, I have less problem with that. We're basing it on our own records and the county records. If when the survey comes back, there's a problem, and we will withhold enactment, and we'll at that point ask for a rescission of this action based on that survey. There is an inconsistency between the two, but I have no problem if we noticed everything up based on our records and the county records. I think that we've done as much as we can do.
That's right. That's why I asked the question, were you comparing our records versus the real estate records? Or did Jeff go to the county and say, here's the description, that we got?
I can't speak from his perspective.
Yeah, okay.
However, our standard protocol is we look at our city assessor records, which are based on county records, presume them to be accurate. If we find a discrepancy from what the applicant submits, that's when we raise the red flag. Okay, your records may not be correct. And it's presumed that we're writing the correct. I'm not saying it never happens, we catch on. but I believe that's where that initial comment came from.
Madam Chair, there's another problem also. If he needs to close in 3 days, you can't, even if you approve this, it's gonna take 30 days to enact it. And it's not zoned until it's enacted.
That's true. I mean,
You know what I mean?
you at least know that the council has introduced the ordinance, but you will not have final enactment until August 24th. That's absolutely true.
That's the petitioner and
Well, he at least has understood that the council has introduced the ordinance. He's gotten the feel for where council is by your vote to even introduce the rezoning. So, yeah, it is a risk, but generally, I have not seen council not enact an ordinance that they rezoned, that they introduced, unless there was some, legitimate basis, which could be something like the survey coming through. So I think that gives the purchaser here a pretty good feel of that there is going to be a rezoning because you voted and you've introduced an ordinance to rezone. So I don't know if that's sufficient for the purchaser, but it is, under our charter, that's where we are.
It really actually wouldn't make any difference if that note 4 wasn't there. It's still not.
That's right.
Enacted.
That's right.
If everything
That's right.
was the same.
That's right.
So he's no worse.
Right. It doesn't, that's right.
You understand what Mr.
No,
Frazier
sir,
said?
I agree.
What Mr. Frazier is trying to explain to you, even the action of tonight, the procedure is that they introduce it, then they have to enact, there's 2 procedures that have to take place for the zoning really is zoned. And they have to advertise it once they vote, and then they have to enact it. It takes 30 days to do that. And the only thing I can think of is that they approve it tonight, and you gamble whether they will hold off on the mortgage or the purchase until your survey is done, and you can verify that our records and the county records are accurate, and that council will then, based on that, will enact it within 30 days, which is a definite thing.
Yeah, our action tonight is only a pending action. It's not the final action. The final action comes in 30 days. Okay? So, and it wouldn't matter if there was a conflict with the size of the property or not. It's still a pending action that we take tonight. So,
Even with your approval, there's pending action for 30
Yes.
days for the public or for...
yes, it becomes official.
Official after 30 days.
There's no public hearing, I'm sorry.
There's no, it's not a public hearing, it's just an action on our part.
Oh, you're right.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, so that will give us the chance to get the survey and then get everything right.
That's correct.
Okay.
My suggestion is council approve it, and you work with the city planner and give them the information that's necessary, then they continue,
The process.
and you can dump it any time when you see that there's a discrepancy.
Right,
Yeah, and I'm sure the survey will be the same as the Oakland County record and the assessor office record. We got email from the real estate guy, that's so confusing. And then finally, he sent something, said, this is the legal description. This is where the problems start, but it's very sound to make
Yeah,
sure.
we can help the gentleman out there,
Yeah.
work with the planner.
Yeah, and Mr. Spence will be back in the office on Wednesday, so within the next 2 days, once we get the survey, we can confirm, and we'll confer with the legal department, and we'll let the council know if there is a discrepancy. But I can tell you that we based our legal advertisement based on our records, which are consistent with the county's records, and that's the way we do it.
Mr. Vanderpump.
Just so I can understand, assuming that we approve it, which we already have a motion, and something happens, and it's not the correct legal description. It could be Oakland County records, the city's records are off, or the real estate records are off, whatever it is, there's a discrepancy. At our next meeting, we would rescind the ordinance. Can we, in that same meeting, have another public hearing to rezone, or do we need to wait an additional time once it's rescinded?
I think if we find out in the next several days that the legal description is different, then I think what we would do is
go ahead and set another public hearing for that August 24th, so that you could rescind and then hold a public hearing that night on the revised legal, just to cover ourselves. And if council was so inclined, you could even do an emergency ordinance that night and enact it that night, so that the petitioner doesn't have to wait another month. So I think there are all kinds of options for us to procedurally kind of navigate this. Absolutely, we could go ahead and notice it up. Again, I think that the fact that we're moving tonight, which is what we always do, we base it on our records. We base it on our records and the county records. That's how we notice all of these up. So had this not come up, we would have been moving forward and nobody really would have known this. So I think that's the way we procedurally kind of navigate at this point.
And then if the survey comes back and there is a discrepancy, which we're all hoping there isn't, would the city then do our own independent survey, or would we rely on the petitioner's survey?
I think we would probably have our assessor look at the survey and see if he's comfortable with that. And if he were, because at some point he would have to change the assessing records as well. So I think we'll probably bring him into the loop if we get to that point.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Frazier, supported by Mr. Mandelbaum to approve PR 1326. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
If I may, Madam President, to our councilor, so the owner is afraid of losing business, he's already losing some business. What could he do? Let's say he goes to the building right now. Can he move his equipment, do something, but he's not gonna open for business?
No, it sounds like all he can do is demolition.
That's it? Okay, cleaning and demolition?
Yeah, through the building department, they do allow preliminary demolition, cleaning, moving equipment. It's just that they will not issue a certificate of occupancy until all the zoning and planning issues have been resolved.
Okay.
Just there is a little bit of pre-work that they may allow. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
You need an ordinance number 1644.
I move that we introduce ordinance number 1644.
Support.
We have a motion by Mr. Frazier, supported by Mr. Mandelbaum, to introduce ordinance 1644. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item is public hearing. Ask Mr. Crowe.
Madam President, we haven't, as a council, we haven't had an opportunity to sit down with the Arts Council and talk about how we're going to work together on the arts, public arts. And I think maybe this public hearing may be a little premature. So I'm suggesting that we postpone the activity on this until after we meet with the Arts Council, which is to a date uncertain. And then we can use Mr. Crowe to help coordinate a meeting in the future to get us together.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Frazier, supported by Mr. Cruz, to postpone to a date uncertain, GP 12AEP. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I have spoken with our city planner to get a date that we can have a joint meeting with the Public Arts Commission as well as the council, so that will be coming up relatively soon. Okay, let's move to the site plan portion of our agenda.
Through the chair, site plan 1315 is requesting an 1-year extension, which was originally approved by the City Council on June 16, 2014, with an expiring date of June 16, 2015. The applicant has stated that due to delays caused by the negotiation to sell the adjacent property, as well as negotiation with Chevron Oil for the remediation of the site, has caused the delay to the project. And I have a resolution, I recommend a resolution I'd like to read that City Council approves a one-year extension of the site plan to July 20th, 2016 for SP 1315, which provides for the construction of a 4,963 gross square foot building addition for storage and office use to the existing Siemens Jewelry Building. Property is located at 24810 Evergreen Road, on the east side of Evergreen Road between M10 Lodge Freeway and 10 Mile Road.
Madam President, I move that we approve the extension of the site plan for SB 1315 for Siemens Jewelry based on a recommendation of the planner.
Support. We have a motion by Mr. Frazier, supported by Mr. Medlock, for extension of the site plan approval, SB 1315. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving to the communication portion of our agenda. And this is common communications from the audience. You have 3 minutes to address the council. The first person is Geraldine Amato.
Geraldine Amato. Under the arbitrary time restraint imposed in an authoritarian fashion here, I can only mention a few things I wish I could discuss at length. But today we are distracted by those who control supposedly the sources of our information with various media services. But one of the more recent ones regarding the Confederate flag. And if you note, in most of the highlighted, publicized events, there is an issue of divisiveness, whether on race, immigration, Muslims. And if you regard I've never heard it discussed in history classes in the public schools or the universities, how it was that this grand feat of social engineering was pulled off to get Americans to kill Americans during the Civil War. It has been reported, not in mainstream history presentation, but it has been reported that both sides of the Civil War were bankrolled by the same gangster cartels. And the Union side was heavily financed than the so-called Confederate or rebel side. If you consider that after the Revolutionary War, which we hear little about even during the July 4th celebrations, the first Constitution was the Articles of Confederation. And under those principles, each state had the right of self-government, and in agreement with one another, they had the Confederation for things that they considered in common with each other. So, the Confederate States are actually a reflection of this Articles of Confederation. But we have been lied consistently about what really happened during the Civil War. We're told that Lincoln was killed because of his opposition to slavery. However, some historians have reported it was after Lincoln issued the so-called greenbacks out of the federal treasury rather than the private gangster cartel that existed at that time. And he was issuing credit script, not controlled by the private banks, but by the federal government. It was shortly thereafter that he was murdered. His private bodyguard, or his bodyguard on duty on that theater before he was assassinated, conveniently left before Booth entered and assassinated him. I can see the time thing going up. I don't know, but what was the time element there?
15 seconds.
15 seconds. That's 3 minutes already?
It sure is.
Well, you're not really interested in what I have to say. I'm trying to discuss something.
So rude is turn off the microphone. And by the way,
Excuse me, your time is up.
you want to call a cop on me and have me thrown out because I dare to come here and speak as a member of the public?
The next person that is requested, vicious people, is Mr. Roger Roy. Mr. Roger Roy.
Who controls our lives?
The next person to speak is Marilyn Gilbert.
I'm sorry, can you call me now?
Robert?
What's your name, excuse me?
Ron Roy.
Yes, you were. Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. I got him turned up high, but I said this a lot.
You have 3 minutes to give us your name and address for the
I had a couple of things, Rob Roy, 23766 Phillip, I'm a 60-plus year, resident of Southfield. I was channel surfing and I caught, Mayor Percassi on a school naming university, and I agreed with them 100%. Do not do that. Do not name one school the top school, because immediately every other school is second best. At Southfield High and Southfield Lathrop, they can fight all they want to say who's the best, but when you name them, it just makes everybody second best. Council does have a dog in this fight because it's taxes. With the schools that are being closed, you want new people to move in, not if there's a local school not available there. So this is important for you too. The school has a vested interest in getting everything together. You have a vested interest in keeping the city viable, which is sometimes just two different things. I used to go to a lot of school board meetings, and the only thing I really came away with was my experience that what the school board would say is good for the student is often better for the teachers. You're going to divide these to smart kids and dumb kids. Smart kids, they'll get off on their own. The dumb kids, the teachers, but we don't have to worry about them too much because they'll end up as waiters and landscapers anyway. That's why you cannot make that assignment of this is the best school and everything else is secondary. And I agree with them 100% with that. That's why I thought it was important to cover. Second item, when I signed up, I don't know who sets the date for the pool opening and closing. It used to be when the senior high school lets out, the pools will open because that's where they drew their lifeguards. And it went to Labor Day. And then Labor Day, was set aside and they started opening the schools before. And that's my understanding. The past 10 years, they've made Labor Day, you cannot open a school before Labor Day. Why is the Southfield pool closed August the 28th? There's another 8 days of pool time. The school lets out June 15th. Pool doesn't open until the 20th. You're losing almost 2 weeks of pool time. It's not that you don't generate money from this pool. It's an amenity for the people who live here. And to be shut out for 2 weeks from this great pool for outdoor swimming, it's really a crime.
Okay, the next person is this is Marilyn Gilbert.
Hello, my name is Marilyn Gilbert, and unlike some people who come before you who are not willing to give their address, only a P.O. box, I live at 25760 Code Road, Southfield, 48033. I don't usually attend the council meetings, but I do try to follow them very carefully on Channel 15. And I know this is going back a bit, but I was very upset to hear the council decision regarding the church at 9 Mile Bird Road, the Holy Missionary Baptist Church, I believe. It seemed as though the ruling were contrary to the recommendation, I believe, of the zoning board, but it could have been planning commission. I'm not sure I have that information right, but I know that a previous entity in the city had recommended against such a decision, and I certainly could tell from watching on Channel 15 that the residents were pretty much universally opposed to that decision. I would like to thank Joan Seymour for having the courage to vote a no, and also council, the Mayor Fakasi, who attempted to ameliorate that situation, not successfully. But the thing that upset me the most is kind of what I see here tonight. The ruling was 3-1, which is barely a quorum. And tonight the issue there don't seem to be so many quite contentious issues as that one was. But I think that was really a problem to have such an important vote with only 4 people on council that night. And I know part of the situation is based on the fact that we have had 2 officials that have moved on to higher office, which is something Southfield could and should be proud of. But in the meantime, it does entail fewer people sitting here on council, and I have to say that I have been most upset that Mr. Lance has not been in attendance time after time after time. And I know he previously was very much a concerned council person. I think he often spoke up for the residents. But if he is not here to voice his opinions, and if he is not here to give his vote, I think that that is really irresponsible to the citizens of Southfield. And that brings me to my second point, which is that I really feel as though perhaps there should be some type of amendment to the charter to address the fact of non-attendance at the council meetings. I don't know the circumstances, but even if a person is not well, if they cannot come time and again to meetings, then it seems to me that that should be given consideration. Also, because he's now running again, which was astounding to me, that has necessitated a primary, which also is a further expense. So I thank you for allowing me to come before you.
Thank you. The next person is Harley Burger.
Good evening. Let me introduce myself. I'm Carolyn Burgos. I live at 23882 Sergeant Avenue, Southfield, Michigan. Okay. My husband and I have invested monies and time to improve not only our land but our neighborhood. When a family was dealing with trauma, my husband cut the grass. When the Southfield Association sign was knocked down, my husband and son rebuilt it. When a dead tree was threatening to fall on a neighbor's house, my husband alerted the family to the danger and provided resources to the family. This is how we are. We practice what we preach, not destroy what we are preaching. We are not homeowners. We live as homesteaders within a community, and we have an image of building up a neighborhood. We always have. So my anger is with you, council, and because you don't see me. I am living with a church, New Hope Missionary Baptist Church, that has broken promises, and it is coveting land, and you don't seem to see that. We were hoping the church, New Hope, will respond to reconciliation and mediation, but there is silence. I'm angry because you, council, know this church, New Hope, promised not to encroach past the fence. You seem not to remember and never do. That concerns me and makes me angry. The church simply throws up the sign that we want to grow, and that gives them permission to break promises. It is not an issue of parking spaces needed because of growth. It is greed. We offered to sell 20 feet of our land so that they would have 100 parking spaces. The church fell silent. That fell on deaf ears. I am angry because of the promises made to protect the neighborhood from the church intrusion, and you can't seem to remember. All you seem, council, to remember is the word church and growth, and the neighborhood and its constituents seems to become invisible to you. I am angry because your advisory board saw the conflict between the church, New Hope, and the community, and they saw that this was wrong, and that mediation needs to take place, and that special use was going to create an unhealthy environment for us all. I am angry because you just saw one side and the homeowners became invisible to you, and still are. I am angry because you were elected to serve the people, not one person, not one friend, not one entity, not one church. You were elected to serve us all, not just friends. Thank you.
The next person on our agenda is Mr. Gerard Baldwin.
Madam President, my name is Gerard Mullen. My address is Post Office Box 155, Southfield, Michigan, 48037. Over 25 months ago, to be precise, on June 17, 2013, you, Reverend Gordon, declared me, Gerard Mullen, a non-resident at the televised council meeting that evening. And to top it off, you, Pastor Jordan, claimed that you had documentation that proves that I am a non-resident. Madam President, it's been over 2 years now, and you, Pastor Jordan, have yet to produce any documentation. Let us see this documentation tonight. Your documentation tonight. You couldn't possibly get such documentation tonight, because I am and always have been a resident of Southfield continuously up until this very moment since 1968. 47 years and still counting. I offer the following as proof that I am a Southfield resident. Madam President, would you please ask Councilman Cruz, who is sitting to your immediate right, and who you, Madam President, personally endorsed for council in 2013, the following question tonight. Dr. Cruz, did you mail Mr. Mullen a letter to his Southfield residence, postmarked on or about June 18, 2015, 2 years and 1 day after I, Pastor Jordan, declared Mr. Mullen a non-resident? Also, Madam President, would you please ask Dr. Cruz why he didn't personally hand deliver this letter to me, thus saving 49 cents postage. After all, Dr. Cruz lives just a stone's throw away from my house, right here in Southfield. Thank you, Madam President. Thank you.
Thank you. The next person to speak is Mr. Charlie Baker.
Good evening. My name is Charlie Gillum. I'm elected delegate Precinct 18 in Southfield, Michigan. It's so good to be in the chambers of Southfield City Council and administration. July the 4th is Independence Day. The same day, a young 23-year-old walked into a donut shop and licked the donut while the video camera was working and the owner didn't film. And she put a DNA on that donut. And later on, when they viewed the videotape, they found out that what had happened, and the guy went to the police and said he sold the donut, but he don't know who got it. And somebody walked around out there with this young 22-year-old DNA in his stuff. They don't know whether it's a grown-up or child. Anyway, but the 22-year-old, that was childish and shit grew out of it. You know, they got, about a year ago, they had the outbreak of Ebola, and they had meningitis every once in a while pop up. Then they have the type of speed that takes about 20 years to kill you. to get to this system that popped up. But you know, this child, when I was talking to you about, we always send her an invitation to come here called What Happens Next. It's unbelievable. She said why the tape was rolling that I hate Americans and I hate all Americans. Well, you know, when I've been coming to these city council, sessions, we always start off by our pledge allegiance to their flag. In May, we always on Memorial Day held a ceremony here for our fallen people to defend this country. In November, Veterans Day, we always do something for our veterans here. We have a ceremony. You know, like just last week, I think 5 Marines that were killed by some sick fanatic that, they defend our country. They give you the right to have this freedom of religion. Just so many weeks ago in Charleston, South Carolina, 9 people, the freedom of religion. They were gunned down, and these soldiers, they protect us, defending our country. What I'd like for you to do, still come here. This is a good place to go, Southfield, the center of all. I like the way you let everybody have to say freedom of speech, whether you like it or not. And freedom of religion, freedom of expression, presidential campaign. I understand somebody said one of our veterans is not a hero because the plane was shot down in his capture. But that guy made it possible for that guy that said that to sit back somewhere and just his word and buy some property without putting nobody down, sitting up somewhere with a guy defending his country. Our service there gave their lives to defend his country for just all that stuff. Thank you.
Pamela Gerald, P.O. Box 155, Southfield, Michigan, 4037-0155. Residents, you know me, and some of you have appointed, selected, and have relied on me for many, many years to be your independent voice. I want to call you out again, Pastor Jordan. At that June 15th meeting, you made some comments that were not true. Let me give you some words of wisdom. Never make statements that you can't substantiate. If you have an inquiry or you are not sure about something, ask a question. You made a statement that I was on Ken Tyler's payroll, who happens to be your mayoral opponent running for mayor. Ken Cyber is a man of integrity, and how dare you say something that you cannot prove? For the residents that are viewing, if you want to see it, I have a letter from this gentleman stating that I'm not on his payroll. I have worked campaigns for over 30 years, including your campaign that was not a success, that was not organized. And you didn't pay me. You couldn't afford to pay me what I might be worth if I decided to charge a fee. I have been a volunteer for over 35 years. You call yourself insulting me. You don't insult me. Every time you think you are, you elevate me to another level. You make me more relevant. You are not a pastor. You are not a lady. You are not spiritually mature. You are a lady that's so thirsty for power that you can't even see straight. You are so jealous of me. You are jealous of me because when you and I walk in a room, my presence in there diminishes your significance. So there you have it. I guarantee you, and I'll challenge you, let's go somewhere, and you and I walk in a room. They'll probably think I'm council president and on council instead of you, because you have to say, I'm council president. You guys need to support me. I don't have to do all of that. All I do is get up and confabulate. And I have the facts. And Mr. Frazier, I applaud you for talking about this campaign and this season here. I respect what you said. You were not on my side or Sylvia's side. Pastor Jordan, you were on the side of facts. And you have often said we're entitled to our own opinion, but not our own set of facts. So you need to apologize to me. But I don't even think you have the courage or the spirituality or the fruit of the Spirit to apologize. Thank you. and I still have 15 minutes left. I love my public.
The next person to speak is Mr. Douglas Miller.
Good evening. My name is Doug Miller. I live at 28498 Brooks Lane. I'm a 40-year resident of Southfield. In May of this year, I attended a political function in which two council members were present. They were Sylvia Jordan and Joan Seymour. I was curious as to how much money the city of Southfield has spent to contractors in general, and minorities and women in particular, for the year 2014. Ms. Jordan stated that she didn't know and would attempt to find out and get back with me. She did get back with me and stated to my surprise that purchasing did not have those records. Ms. Seymour didn't know either and stunningly asked me, why is that important? I said in a city that is 78% African American, and as a long-term council member, it should be important to her as well. She gave me her card and said, call her office and she would find out. I called on 3 occasions and left word for her to call me. I have yet to hear from her. On June 1st, 2015, I submitted a Freedom of Information request form to the city clerk's office requesting the above information. On June 8, 2015, the city clerk sent me a letter stating that an additional 10 days was necessary to respond to my request. On June 15, 2015, I received a letter from the city clerk stating that my request had been denied because no such records exist. I can't believe a city that seemingly contracts out millions of dollars annually to contractors and vendors has no idea where the money is going. You would think that council members in a city with such a high percentage of African Americans would want to not only know, but monitor to see if there's a fairness issue when issuing out contracts. I imagine accounts payable could find out really easily if there was a liability issue with the contractor. It appears the council is in agreement with Seymour as to why is that important. Well, it is important to the citizens. It appears as though minorities and women are not only fairly represented when contracts are given. How does the city know if there's competitive bidding to get the best value for the taxpayers' dollars, particularly if federal funds are involved? Because the contractor has done a good job for years, does not mean some other contractor could not do the same job as well, or better, and cheaper. Utica Rental is a prime example. I believe they've been providing table and chair setups in the Southfield Pavilion for over 20 years. If events are scheduled close together, and the tables and chairs are left, is the city being charged a delivery or setup fee for warehousing tables and chairs for Utica Rental?
Mr. Miller, I appreciate your comment, but your time is up. How much longer do you have to go?
I got about 20 seconds.
I'll give you 10.
Cozy and council relationships often lead to problems. I am hopeful the entire city council will revisit my FOIA and put in place a mechanism that addresses a very serious issue. What is the value of a purchasing department that can't provide critical information? Elected officials are to represent the entire constituents in a fair-minded manner, particularly those that make up a majority of the population. It is mind-boggling that no one sitting on that council, some for many years, doesn't know or seem to care where the citizens' money is going and it is fair. I would appreciate a timely response from the administration.
The next person to speak is Ms. Shani Rose.
Good evening, Honorable City Council, President, Mayor, and all at the table. My name is Kiwi Rose. Sorry about this voice. I live at 26477 Franklin Point Drive, here in Southfield. After the June 15 council meeting, found that our nation has enjoyed freedom of speech, written and subsequently ratified as part of our Constitution on December 15, 1791, which comes to 224 years. Town meetings, council meetings, whatever they've been called, have, since 1791, been open and inviting to citizens. Yes, some people who come before their public servants are less than polite. Sometimes they become raucous. However, it is the duty of all public servants to listen to their constituents. It comes with the territory. Public servants are elected to serve the public. The public is not elected to serve the people for whom they voted into office. We all know that the job of a public servant comes with perks and special treatment. With those perks and special treatment comes the responsibility to listen to citizens who come before them. Residents do not come before City Council to praise and adore the council. They come to City Council because they have concerns. I hope that my City Council here in Southfield will keep this in mind from now on. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next person to speak is Mr. Clyde Nichols.
My name is Clyde Nichols, 21769 Indian, Southfield. Okay, first off, gentleman over here, he has a good question to ask you. But you only gave me 3 minutes. Why don't you give us back the other 2 to go with the 3 that made it 5? That's our rights, I think, because we had that before. So are we going to be like we are in Washington and also in Lansing? You guys are going to control everything else? Number 2, I think we're having a problem. I'd like to find out why we can't figure out a way to get to these rental people that own these houses and feel they can take the money from the house, but yet not try and put it back in repairs. There's got to be a way, going to the tax board or something, to be able to find out who these people are. Because they're just taking houses in like my neighborhood. They're letting it be that big, and they're not putting any money in them, but yet they're taking their money out. And number 3, the last meeting I was at, I didn't care for the way you did being sitting up there as president of the council, cutting down another person who was on the council. And then when another gentleman in the council asked you to apologize, you said, well, I'll think about that. That almost makes me feel like, with the Burt Rose thing, when you said, you heard my vote, and that's the end of it. That don't work with me. That gentleman wasn't here to stand up for himself. And I'm not hired to go against you, I'm not hired to go against him. I'm just saying in general, that isn't right. If you feel that you've got to have that much power, maybe you should sit back in one of these other chairs and give one of these other gentlemen that seat. And put it back to where you can sit and realize what's going on without thinking too far ahead. I'm sorry to say this to you, but that's my opinion. But on the 2-minute thing again, I felt this man had good thoughts in his head, and you took a big part of my life. Just by cutting his 2-minute period away, a total of 5 minutes. And I feel we deserve that right back. Thank you, I appreciate your time.
The next person that is requested to speak is Betty Robertson. Okay, the next person that is requested to speak is Yvonne Allen.
Good evening, my name is Yvonne Allen. I live at 18440 Alta Vista Drive. I've been living in Southfield approximately 20 plus years. I have pretty much been observing the council meetings either sometime at home. This is pretty much my first time sitting here in the seat here in Southfield, here at this meeting. Just observing this meeting and seeing some of the things on television, sometimes I'm kind of appalled at how the meetings are being run and the comments that are being made and how people are pretty much talking to the council members when I'm sitting there with my granddaughter and sometimes with my children trying to explain how we're supposed to be doing civic duties and trying to steer them up to be the next leaders and why they should be engaged into politics. We try to groom our children to understand, to be respectful. I know that the previous lady came about how sometimes we come up, we need to be raunchous and how we need to talk, but when we're trying to teach our children to stand up and dialogue and how to engage and do their grievances, how to air their grievances, is a way of how you present information to an individual and try to have our youth the way to explain, because sometimes our youth are very violent, sometimes they're violent and they like to fight and hit back. And when we're trying to teach them how to explain things to get their point across so people can listen, they're looking at us, and we need to make sure that as they're looking at us, we need to be the role models, and when we're looking at politics, we want people to engage, because you're up here, and we're out there, and I'm saying that some of us are not going to be here forever, and we want to make sure we're laying the foundation down for our next leaders and groom people to understand why we want strong leaders, ethical leaders, accountability and responsibility, and show people what we want in government. And beating people down is not the right way. Thank you.
That concludes the communication portion of the agenda. We'll now move to the council portion.
Madam President,
Mr. Frazier.
I move that we approve the expense report of Sylvia Jordan for expenses incurred while attending the MML Capital Conference in Lansing.
Support. We have a motion by Mr. Frazier, supported by Mr. Mandelbaum, to approve the expense report of Sylvia Jordan. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We're under the council portion. Also, any other comments? Mr. Chris.
Just had one or two points to make. One, actually, Fred and I mentioned this to you a little bit earlier today. I got a number of calls and emails, in particular about the fireworks. A few weeks ago, when I say fireworks, I'm talking about people shoot fireworks off in the neighborhoods. I believe the 4th fell on a Saturday, and I know at least in my neighborhood, as early as Monday, they started going off, and all times of night. And I think that, so I was trying to inquire about where we were at with regard to ordinances or laws around that. I mean, you mentioned something the state has just adjusted, made some changes to the laws, and do we have anything from the city on the books?
The state actually has a bill that's been introduced to restore local authority, and I know, I just read an article today that Garden City has passed a resolution now in support of giving that authority back to the locals and repealing the state law that kind of took it away from the locals. And I know there are a number of cities, the MML is gathering that list. So if the council was so inclined, I mean, we could, if there's interest, we could put together a similar resolution to send up to Lansing on your behalf if you would like something done on the state level. Because right now, I mean, you know, we are given this much ability to regulate, because during the day of, the day after, the state law says it's permitted and there's nothing that locals can do. So until that state law is changed, I mean, it really makes it difficult for the city to regulate. We do have in place an ordinance that allows us that prohibits those kind of fireworks on the days the state allows us to prohibit them. So we do have that in place. If they were going off on a Monday prior to a Saturday, 4th of July, we could have dealt with that on a Monday, because it's only the day before, the day of, and the day after that the state says we can't regulate. So, again, I know a lot of cities are actively pursuing this legislation to try to get the state to undo the ability of the city now to regulate in this area, so.
I jump in for 1 second? So you're saying that people that do fireworks are only allowed by the state the day before, the day of, and the day after?
Right, and that's what our ordinance reflects as well. So that we've said, other than those times that the state, and remember, I think there are 12 holidays listed throughout the year in the state law, but other than those days, we have restricted and said no fireworks. So, again, those 3 days on each holiday, the listed holidays, and I think that maybe there's 10, I'd have to go back and check the ordinance, but on those 3 days for each of those holidays, we cannot restrict, prohibit the fireworks. But on days other than that, our ordinance does say you can't do fireworks.
And I'm going to turn it back over to Mr. Cruz, because I do believe that I would definitely be in support of us sending a resolution to the state, because in my neighborhood, it happens definitely outside of the folks these 2 days here.
So, yeah, I'll speak to you again. Could go ahead, a second. Also, on those days, other than, if I understand it correctly, other than on New Year's Eve, our noise ordinance takes place after 11 o'clock.
Right, and you know, that's right, there's an interplay. So if it's happening at, 2 o'clock in the morning, we would argue that we still have the right to enforce our noise ordinance. But realize there is a tension now between our ordinance and the state law. Same way with the tents. The tents that are out there selling fireworks, well, we regulate those temporary retail tents under a provision under our zoning ordinance. We don't care what's being sold in them, and the state law has taken away our right to say you can't put those larger fireworks in there, but we still say you can't put up a tent without going through our ordinance. So we have a lot of these that kind of relate together, but I would agree with you, if it's 2 o'clock in the morning, and we've had these conversations with the police chief, and I know that they sent officers out when it's 2 o'clock in the morning, these things are going off, and told the people they need to kind of cease that activity. But I do think that it's been very problematic for a lot of cities based on what the state did. And I think the push is to try to undo what the state did, put it all back to the local, and you decide what what is appropriate for Southfield. So if you're interested, we certainly can put together that resolution and bring it back in August at your next meeting, and it would be similar to what a lot of the cities are doing.
Okay. And so what you're saying is our residents that hear people shooting off fireworks even now can call the police.
Absolutely.
And have them come out.
Absolutely.
I've had a few people call me as well. We have these days that people are
Absolutely. And again, the police chief and I had a conversation right around the 4th of July, and we went through the ordinance again. So, I mean, they're very apprised of, what their role is and what they can and cannot enforce.
I think it'd be good for us on whatever those dates are, to try to educate the community ahead of time, again, just reminding people what the guidelines and parameters are for it. And, of course, also I just have to put my plug in for the fact that I like to see fireworks coming to Southfield, period. Okay, so we don't have to shoot in the neighborhood, we can get it back to where we used to be. One other question I had, I was watching the news recently, and I saw in New York that the mayor was actually in a fight with Uber, right, the transportation group and everything. It caused me to think about what type of matters we have going with regard to taxi cabs and limits on permits, and or does Uber fall under any of that kind of stuff? Looking at the new development coming out here into the city, just that hotel by in and of itself, we're looking to attract people out here that will be visiting from out of town and may have rent cars and want to get around the city and so forth. I hate for them to be limited in their transportation choices, so I was wondering if I could get an update on that, where we are with that, either today or whenever you have that information.
Yeah, I think that was an item for I think it was neighborhood services potentially, so I think maybe we could get that back on that track at neighborhood services and then come back to council with a recommendation from that committee. I think that was the last place that we had an initial discussion, so. Right.
If I could also add, I believe there's
legislation out there right now in the House regarding Uber and what to do and how do we control it and should we be licensing them. It's a very controversial issue. Councilman Moss might be able to also update us on that information.
Hello, Representative Moss.
I'm sorry, Representative Moss, I'm sorry.
Anyone else? Mr. Frazier?
Yes, I received a letter, and I don't know who else did, I presume all the council got copies of it, and this is written by a lady that lives in Huntington Woods, and it's on the water line services that are, and you can buy insurance. We get these letters periodically, and apparently Huntington Woods has subscribed to this, or people in Huntington Woods, and her daughter lives here in Southfield, and the letter is a question that says, why can't Southfield do this? Apparently she called the company that's being used by Huntington Woods, and they said that before her daughter could sign up, the city of Southfield has to buy into it. I was never aware of that, and I'd like to refer this to the city administrator to look into and find out how does the whole thing work.
If I may comment. 2-3 times a year, we get requests from companies providing an insurance product that will, the private section of your sanitary sewer line are offering an insurance policy. We have never stopped anyone from doing business in Southfield. Their request is to use our letterhead and our endorsement, and we're not necessarily at present in the business of endorsing or letting them use our letterhead, but we have never said, no, you cannot come to Southfield. Their request has always been, can we send our solicitation out on your letterhead, can the administrator or the mayor or the council president sign it? And we have said, no, we made no judgment relative to the value of that. A few years ago, we did go through the analysis of the number of private lines that break in the city, and it is a very small number of private lines. However, when it does happen, it can be a rather costly venture. But their request has always been to use our name and our letterhead. We simply say no to that request. We've never said you cannot do business here.
Okay, I agree with your position on that. Because that just puts us in jeopardy. And if they malfunction, then, well, the first thing that comes in is the letter on our letterhead. So I agree with you. If they want to do it, then let the buyer beware. Okay, that's all I have tonight.
I have a couple of things. First of all, Mr. Miller indicated that he had been trying to get some data as it relates to minority and women-owned businesses and their portion of the contract. I've been attempting to get that information as well. I do believe we need to have some sort of data on the contracts that we've awarded as a city and the percentage of those that are going to minority and women-owned firms. Those are numbers that we really need to look at. When we look at the composition of the city, when we look at the dollars that we spend in our goods and services, contracting as well, we need to know the hard data.
If I may say, the purchasing department administers the ordinance that is currently in place. If it is the desire of council to have us do that, that would be some tweaks to the ordinance, as well as additional personnel. Now, this budget that was approved, we are a one-person purchasing department. We have historically been as high as 3 people, perhaps even higher. But if that's the desire of council, and I do want to make comment, on our federal contracts, our roads, our community development block grant, there are provisions in every one of those contracts. We, as a party to those contracts, are not contractually obligated, for example, on our I'll use Northwestern Service Drive. There are disadvantaged set-asides as part of those contracts. That is currently the terminology that the feds are using. And whenever we bid those jobs, those requirements are being met. On our community development block grant, we are, our data staking and our Section 3 requirements. The Section 3 requirements are in essence that a business has to be located in a low to moderate census tract. And we are monitoring, tracking those provisions as well. So there is a cost in maintaining that data, but we are happy to, pursue whatever direction council wants on this matter.
Right.
It would begin with the review of the ordinance.
I really would like to get consensus of council at this time. I'll start with you, Mr. Mayor. I'm really interested in having us know what the data looks like in terms of the amount of contracts awarded to women and minority businesses. It's just a consensus.
Yes.
I say yes, Mr. Frazier.
Yes.
So we do have a consensus of council.
No data is being done on those federal contracts right now.
Right, the federal, right on, but we have no understanding that, it's just a contract that we give out, the rental and the pavilion, it's all contract that we do, all the money that we do, engineering and the consulting services that we do, what percentage of those are going to women and minority.
I know we used to, when we put out the engineering bids, that we insisted on that because, I can't recall the name of the engineering firm down in Detroit that was attached to Humble Rock Clark. Tucker Young. They were a partner with Humble Rock Clark. So, but that's one thing. The other piece is keeping records.
I'm just curious, how would we be defining minority contracts? It would be based on who owns the company, the number of minorities that work for the company. Is there, we need to have criteria, I think, before you start going into it, that we all agree upon and be helpful. So should we do that?
Typically, I think it was who owns the company. It's minority or female owned companies.
But even then, I mean, you get into issues of, if there are multiple owners, what percent. So I think maybe what could be done is we could try to have some standards.
Yes.
And bring them back to council, and if you're comfortable with those are the standards that will then be identifying, so that we're all on the same page when the information comes to you, that it's in a format that is meaningful to you.
Yeah, and not onerous.
Right,
Intellectual.
right. So I think maybe we could work with purchasing and try to come up with, what those kind of categories would be.
Because you really need to know this, and I was, when we did change the engineering contract, it was because one company had been consistently given a contract over a number of years, and I said, you know what, we've got to break this contract up, and that's when we did get Cover Him to come on, which is a minority-owned firm. So we just got to, you need to see the numbers again, to see where the dollars, our budget is over $160 million. We need to know where those dollars are going. The other item that I wanted to bring up was Southfield Neighborhood Walks started 2 weeks ago, and I believe they've been going very, very successfully, where city officials, as well as code enforcement, city administrators, the mayor and the deputy city administrators have been walking in the neighborhoods, and we've been looking at the great neighborhoods in the city of Southfield. And we really want to encourage the residents to come out and chat with us and walk with us and take a look at what's happening in your neighborhood. And I really have to chime in. I think it's been great. I know the mayor, you joined us last week. Would you say that it was a great walk over at...
I didn't walk like you left early. I mean, the walk was great.
Let me clarify that.
The walk was great. Neighborhood was great.
Let me clarify that. The time was from 8 to 9, and I was from 8 to 9. So I didn't get early.
I guess I'm a little slow.
Okay, that's it. But it's great. I think we should...
Then the administrator and I were hanging back and making notes.
Yeah, it's great. So we want to encourage everybody to come out. Saturday, the 25th, we'll be walking. We'll be meeting here at the municipal complex, and then we'll be walking in the neighborhood. So join us. The sites are on our website, so visit the site. And if you're in your neighborhood, please come out and join us, and let's walk and chat.
There's only two things that prevent me from doing it. Take a bus Saturday morning and walking.
Lastly, Southfield Community Health Fair is this Friday, July the 24th, at Covenant Presbyterian Church. We want, we all need to think about our health.
Madam Chair, regarding that, I'm getting complained that the people are putting flyers in the mailboxes. Got several complaints today, and they were in John Grace area, for one, and I think Milton, and I can't remember the others, but there's several that came through today that they were put in the mailboxes.
Well, we just got the flyer.
I don't know who's doing it, I don't know who's sponsoring it.
It looks like it's being sponsored in partnership with Human Services, our Human Services, and the Covenant.
That's why I'm doing it.
Mr. Mann.
Yes, I know we've had this discussion many times, and you just touched on it with the neighborhood walks, but in summer, it always seems to have more complaints from residents regarding code enforcement, and the different issues that people have, most notably with grass cutting, either tall grass or grass being cut unprofessionally. And I just wanted to remind everyone that when you cut your grass, you're not allowed to blow it on your street. It needs to be either bagged or placed neatly. And also there's always that issue of I can't afford, I'm on a fixed income, I can't afford grass cutting. I just wanted to remind everyone that Southfield does have a chore program, which does help with qualified senior adult household labor. It can be used for lawn care, snow removal, or some general help around the house. For more information, to find out if you would qualify, you can call 248-796-4178. That's for the chore program, and find out if you're eligible to get help if you do have a fixed income. And they can direct you, if you don't, they do keep a list of providers or services that they have used that they can recommend to help with services if you do not qualify. So just remember that the chore program, 248-796-4178.
Yeah. One last item, Mr. Zorn and Mr. Cruz kind of reminded me of it. We had talked about the fireworks in the wintertime. We just want to make sure that it's still on the books and that we're in the budget doing fire night events for the residents. Okay, we'll go from there.
I would just like to say we should celebrate today, July 20th, is Anne Aldrich and astronaut Armstrong, who stepped on the moon today. So it doesn't seem 1969, doesn't seem that long ago. And the walk that occurred Saturday, I think what I really noticed was a couple of houses that needed attention. But also DTE, there were two instances when vacant lots or wherever those lots were, that they were completely covered, both signs as well as everything else. And that's to clean up. And they're always saying that they're painting the lines, and chopping up our trees on Fort Mama, but where they really are covered, I mean, you can't even see them, right? For instance, the other thing, I had a call at the, I didn't have a call, I had a conversation at the last coalition meeting at the 11:15, is that the two benches that are, I talked to John about that, the two benches that are south of I-696, they face the condominiums, and people are upset that people are looking at their units. There's one in particular, looks right in through the window, and they're really facing the other way. They changed sides. I think that the city's doing great, though, really. we've got still a lot of people that, businesses looking. Talked to Shelley, and I think there's a lot of interest in the city. I think that we have to have more meetings though, Madam Chair. I think there's a lot of, things that we have to discuss. Business, keep, things rolling. I think we could come up with some agendas, items, because, when you see a month away, you kind of forget things, and you kind of, don't want to wait that long, or you call the administrator or something to take care of it, or get the answer from somebody else. There's still a lot of calls on the site work in John Gray's area, where they've used terrible topsoil, and they have not leveled the grounds like they left, like they were. In other words, the grass is like, you look at the grass is up, and they did put enough topsoil in, and there's a bump there. And they should have leveled it better than that. And the lady that points to it, I'll give John the number. She used to look at a stake in her front yard. She doesn't know whether she can take it out or not. I think we've got to really follow up on these engineering firms and contractors when they do work in these subdivisions. There's no reason why they can't restore properly and get away with what they're doing. And the other thing was they mentioned that they're digging ditches in the front yards where there's no ditches before. They don't understand why they can't cut the grass down. And I'll give you that address as well. But anyway, the rest of it's pretty good. We still got a lot of potholes around. And I think one of the things I'd like to address would be how we could take care of these roads, like, and Fred knows what it is cutting and then capping. And I know it only lasts about 4 years, but in 4 years we can buy a lot of time and catching up by doing some of these roads that are really, we put a coal pack in there, but it really isn't making anything any better. It's all you got is more bumps in the road. And I think you've seen Birmingham and what they've done in some of those neighborhoods with that cut and cover, whatever they call it. I think we got to look at it. It's kind of more reasonable. We could get more bucks for the mile. And I want to have a meeting on that and see if that may be an alternative to some of the projects that we have. That's all I have.
Okay, Mr. Zoning, here, looking at the administration.
We recently, at last week's neighborhood services meeting, there was an item that came up regarding $2 charge for going into the SNA software. Recently, about a month ago, we made a change that moved our computer system to a real-time system instead of one that was, sometimes it's delayed by as much as a week. And in doing that decision, that moved us to a $2 per charge. And I want the council to know that we've undone that. We're no longer charging, and we still have a real-time system. Many of the items we're hearing, and as we progress in the building department and even code enforcement, and I'll use the neighborhood watch as an example. What the complaint I'm hearing out from the community is that people will call something in and they can't track the complaint. So in opening up our DSNA software that is used for monitoring the building department and other components in the city real time, we're now setting the stage that the general public will have better access. And there will be a couple other software interfaces, particularly for the building department, and we're evaluating some options for code enforcement that will help people better track complaints. I've been asked to relay that Mr. Lance is home, he's recuperating, his eye surgery went well, and The other item, and I want to just go back to cabs, we were looking at the general thought there on the cabs, and at the right time, perhaps this can be a committee of the whole discussion, is frankly to have less ordinances and let the market play out. And that's in essence what Uber is doing with the onslaught of number of people who are coming and offering medical transportation services. You know, the general thought is for the city to get out of the cab enforcement and recognize that a cab that can do business in Ferndale, Willow, Pontiac, Detroit, Dearborn, that they can do business here. Because right now, as what we in essence have is a one-way system. If I'm licensed in Southfield, I can pick up, but I can't pick up in a lot of communities. If I'm licensed in Ferndale, I can't come to, I can take a passenger from Ferndale to Southfield, but I can't pick a passenger up from Southfield. And it's not a cohesive system. And what this Uber is doing, it's creating something that looks more like a natural market system.
All right, we'll move to the chairman, nothing, nothing to this, or do you? Nothing, thank you. Let's move to the clerk's portion of the agenda.
Thank you. I first would like to remind everyone that we do have an election coming up on August 4th, and I encourage everyone to please get out and vote. For those of you who may be absent from the community on August 4th, you can always come to our office and obtain an absentee ballot. We will be open on Saturday, August 1st, from 9 o'clock in the morning until 2 o'clock in the afternoon, to make it a little more convenient for someone who cannot get here 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. Saturday is the last day on August 1st that ballots can leave the building. You also have until Monday, August 3rd, where you can come in, give an absentee ballot, and vote here at City Hall. The polls on Tuesday, August 4th, will be open from 7 o'clock in the morning until 8 o'clock in the evening. So please come out and vote. The next item that we have on the agenda is a request from Immaculate Transformation. They are a nonprofit organization, and they are requesting the approval of a gaming license. They would like to hold a fundraiser on August 19th for their organization. And I believe a representative of the organization is present.
Thank you for your patience. No problem. Very much. My name is Gloria Williams, and I'm a licensed builder, and I have my own nonprofit organization. I've been rehabilitating houses for over 30 years. And what I found is, first I used to flip houses, and then the economy deteriorated, so I had to start renting the houses that I already owned, because I couldn't sell them. So I tried to find a way to allow people to purchase homes who would not normally have the opportunity to buy a house. They couldn't be qualified, they don't have down payment, those kinds of things. So I've come up with a new way of getting people houses without having to go through that. So what I did was I formed a nonprofit organization. People donate houses to me. And the first house I got was a couple years ago. A young man had lost his mother. And his siblings, nor he, wanted to live in the house. So he couldn't get any money for the house. So he asked a friend of his if there was somebody that she knew that would accept the house and give him a letter that he could present to the IRS. So I got this cell phone call, but the lady knew I already had houses. And I wasn't a nonprofit then, but she asked me that question. I said, hold that thought. I'll be right back. So I found somebody to accept the house. We got the young man's letter, and in the meantime, I applied for my own nonprofit organization. So we're going to hold this raffle, and we changed the date because I needed this resolution to send
to Lansing along with my application for the license. So now it's scheduled for September 13th. And the raffle will be September 13th, held in downtown Detroit. And we will be selling the raffle tickets on site that day. There is a registration fee. Our board hasn't decided on what that registration fee is going to be yet, nor the price of the tickets. We keep going back and forth because we want it to be affordable for most number of people. So, do any of you have any questions for me?
I do. So you're going to sell raffle tickets? What happens? What?
Well, the winner will get the house. The funds that we get from the raffle, we'll take that and we have another house and go through the same cycle.
Okay, so you're going to give a house away based on raffle, whoever has the winning ticket?
Correct.
Okay.
And is the home located in Southfield or Detroit?
This home is located in Detroit. We haven't gotten any donations of houses from Southfield, not yet.
Madam President?
Mr. Frazier?
I move that we approve the gaming license for Immaculate Transformation for the raffle to be held on September the 13th, did you say?
Correct.
2015. Support.
We have a motion by Mr. Frazier, supported by Mr. Cruz, to approve the gaming license for Immaculate Transformation. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And again, thanks for your patience.
I understand. It might be, there was a question that I had too. Why did I have to come to Southfield City Council to get approved? Because I'm incorporated here in Southfield.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any ways that we can move up in the agenda those that are waiting for the gaming license? I thought we had talked about that before, moving it up in our agenda for those individuals.
I don't have a problem moving it up. I can't remember when the last one was, but if we can all remember, we can put it until we put it under consent, then they won't have an opportunity to speak. So even though they're listed on the agenda, we can still move anything.
Well, you give them that opportunity when they submit their application, ask them, do they want it to go into the, or do they want an opportunity to speak on it, and then it will be made where it is, so they don't have to sit through the process.
We'll be more than happy to do that.
I also have samples for council and mayor of one of the projects I've done before and after.
Okay.
I thought you were going to go somewhere you did.
Okay. No, I can't do that. And it was a fire damage house.
All right, the next item on our agenda is to enact ordinance 1643, Mr. Frazier.
I move that we enact ordinance number 1643 for ZR 1325.
Support.
We have a motion by Mr. Frazier, supported by Mr. Mandelbaum, to enact ordinance 1643. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion does carry. Any other items to be brought to the council this evening? Seeing none, Mr. Frazier.
It's my understanding that we're moving to a closed session, we're not going to close the meeting.
So we're going to
Turn to the other room for the closed session.
Madam President?
We'll also be taking an action as well. So we'll complete the action in the room next door.
Right.
So we'll go close the door, then reopen the room.
Right, absolutely, yes.
Madam President?
Mr. Frazier.
I move that we go into closed session.
Support.
We have a motion by Mr. Frazier, supported by Mr. Mandelbaum, to go into closed session. All in favor?
Roll call.
Mr. Cruz?
Yes.
Mr. Frazier?
Yes.
Mr. Mandelbaum?
Yes.
And then Ms. Jordan?
Yes.
Okay, the request to go into closed session is approved.